Welcome aboard Flight 1969, service to JetNation Radio.
Look at what a leader this guy is.
Wolf is fighting for his job this year.
This is what quarterbacks are made of.
Buck Middleton get a 50-yard onside kick. How stupid can you possibly be making that much money?
Folks, grab a snack. Let's go to eat a goddamn snack. And join Joe Blewett and Glenn Naughton for JetNation Radio.
And you are listening to another edition of JetNation Radio, the 7th edition of the watchable version on YouTube. We have a lot to talk about, as always. Go over the game, some Sheldon Richardson rumors that have popped up last couple of hours, which we'll get into. Wilkerson, obviously, we're going to have to be discussing him too because he's an asshole. I think everybody pretty much knows our thoughts on that one. But before we do all of that, Glenn, my man, what's up?
Oh, Joe, never a dull moment, even in a lost season with only 2 weeks to go. A time when Jets fans really, you should be feeling, despite the record, we should be feeling pretty good about the fact that we're heading into an off season with a high draft pick, $80 million in cap room, an extra second-round draft pick that now looks like it's going to be significantly higher than we thought it was when they first acquired it. So a lot of good stuff going on. And then you get Todd Bowles and Mo Wilkerson finding a way to just in case you were feeling a little optimistic, just in case you had some good vibes going about the direction the team was headed, they decide that they're going to do what they do. Mo's going to not show up to stuff or show up late, kind of whenever he feels like it. When he does eventually show up, he's going to tell all of us how much respect he has for Todd Bowles and how he's earned all of his money, deserved what he got. And then there will be Todd Bowles to tell us that Muhammad Wilkerson is a leader on this football team. He's served his punishment, and he was a full go at practice today. And they might play him this Sunday, despite the fact that an injury would mean they would be stuck with him again next season at $18 million. So even the most optimistic Jets fan who's trying to focus on the few good things they have going on right now, there's good old Todd and Mo finding a way to bring you right back down, bring that jet crashing right back down to earth. Sorry, guys, we got other plans for you. Mo's one of our leaders, and we're happy to have him.
As you can see, Glenn is slightly upset about this, so it'll be fun to get into that in a little bit. Glenn, but other than that, back to the original question, how are you actually doing?
I'm great. How are you, Joe?
I'm doing okay.
Fantastic.
As always, you can call in. The number to call in is 1-669-900-6833. It's going to ask you for a PIN. I know it's long. I'm sorry. The PIN is 989-311-8641#. If you're calling in just via video, Skype, whatever it may be, it is just 989-311-8641. And Glenn, I said I'm doing all right. I said last week for everybody to pray for me if you're religious. I'm in 3 fantasy leagues. 2 of them I was the number 1 seed. The other one's like the 11th out of 12th, so I had a really bad year. Number 1 seed, and I lost in both of them. So fantastic. Just completely destroyed. I think like one guy had Kareem Hunt who had like 37 points, of course.
Yes.
So I got just completely shat on in the playoffs. But overall, I guess it was an okay week. The Jets obviously lost on the road, which I didn't go to, even though it was a much closer game than I think both of us and many Jets fans expected. Lost to the Saints 31-19, bringing the Jets record to what now? 5-9.
1,000, 5 and 1,000.
So we will obviously, the team definitely looked better on the road this week. Honestly, in terms of all the road games, I think this is probably the best they've looked. People say, oh, what? They beat the Browns and all that stuff in Tampa, or they were in the game in Miami. But I think overall this might have been their best game, and you have to look at that with, having Petty playing too, which Petty, I know we're probably going to disagree on this, but watching all the film, he missed at least 6 or 7 throws, just people wide open. So, but like I said, we'll get into that. Glenn, anything on Twitter that you put out or any articles on Jet Nation? Of course, Glenn's on Twitter at AceFan23. I'm on Twitter at JoeRB31. Today I put out my film review, or today and yesterday. It's up. You go on my profile, you click on moments. It's there. You can scroll through, I think, 48 plays. So that's what I did. Glenn, anything from you?
Yeah, Joe, just a quick recap again. The Tuesday tidbits that I do. I mean, of course, I threw up a piece saying that I think it's kind of a joke. Not only was DeMario Davis not named the Pro Bowl, not even an 18th alternate. Guy didn't even get his name mentioned, which was kind of a joke. Really just unfathomable the year that guy's had. Kind of highlighted Justin Burris a little bit. Didn't have a great game this week, but he saw his highest snap count since week 9. Played 40 snaps against New Orleans, and there were plenty of plays where the Jets didn't get to Drew Brees because that's not really what they do on defense, but where they had time to get there because the coverage across the board was pretty solid. Haven't had a chance to go back and focus just on Burris. Of course, Leonard Williams being in concussion protocol. Buster Skrine had himself a really good game. I'm sure that'll come up during studs and duds. And his thing this year is, as much as we get on him, and I know we both do, a lot of Jets fans do, he's been bad. But at the same time, he's had 5 or 6 really good games this year. But the problem is when he's not really good, he's really bad. And at that price tag, even if he thinks he's sticking around at $8.5 million, I don't see that happening. And also wishing Jeremy Curley some good luck. I feel like he's a guy who was underutilized his first time around with the Jets, and then this time played fairly well. Got the suspension, obviously. Let him go to make room for Chad Hansen. And I feel like he's a good guy and a good player. I hope he catches on somewhere and has a chance to do something.
Yeah, and
look at the quarterbacks Jeremy Curley's played with: Mark Sanchez, Geno Smith, Blaine Gabbert. The fact that he has a reception is amazing.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit too. I know there's like that ghost comment, like the ghost giving PEDs. I'm pretty sure he was joking, but regardless,
he said Christmas ghost, go to Christmas past, whatever he said. It was a joke.
Yeah. But like I said, before we get into it, reviews, please leave us a review on the podcast app. Take 5 minutes out of your time. If you really like the show, and we have, thousands of listeners, if you can just go on, give us a 5-star rating, hopefully at least 4 stars, but 4 or 5 stars. Tell us why you like us. Tell us what we can improve on, and we'll obviously take that into consideration. If we can change something, then maybe we will, if we like the idea. But it definitely helps us get out to other people. So we'd appreciate people doing that. Even if you don't leave a review, you can just leave us a rating. So, definitely, like I said, appreciate that. We didn't get any this week. So, but thank you to our sponsor, OddsShark. OddsShark is your one-stop shop for the latest betting resources, information, and odds you can trust. Get expert sports coverage and detailed matchup predictions straight from the OddsShark supercomputer. Looking for statistics and trends on an upcoming game? OddsShark has that too. And best of all, it's free. The experts at OddsShark provide in-depth analysis for each game, packed with stats, numbers, and trends. They'll help you make sharp picks on game day. Before the next Jets game, head on over to www.oddshark.com. That's ODDSSHARK.com and start playing like a shark today. So, Glenn, I guess, before we even get – obviously, last thing, we're on YouTube. Go on YouTube, subscribe to us. You just go to type in Jet Nation, and you'll see a little logo pop up for Jet Nation. Subscribe, watch the videos. You'll get notified every single time that we put out a show, which obviously is every Wednesday night. Probably comes out on YouTube about 9, 10 o'clock at night. I would say I get it up. So please do that. If you're just listening, that's okay too. But if you want to follow the plays we put up, like I said, probably 15 to 25 plays every single show, then definitely a better option to go on YouTube and watch. But audio version still obviously fine with us. Before we get into our studs and duds, Glenn, we do have a caller. It is 516. I'm not going to say the rest of the number. That'd be pretty funny if I did, but I'm not going to. But let's bring whoever that is on. 516, what's up? Oh, and 516 hung up as soon as we brought them on. So, interesting. Prank call, maybe. If it was a prank call, then you're stupid because that wasn't funny at all. Whoa, Glenn, that took out 5 seconds of the show. But let's get into the game. We gave some, baseline thoughts. Obviously, we're going to talk about Muhammad Wilkerson because that was just – I know Glenn is just frustrated. As soon as we came on to the to like the screen together before we started recording. I just saw it in his face. I'm like, what's wrong, Glenn? So that's going to get interesting later, I'm sure. But Glenn, as we do, the Jets lost 31-19. When they lose, we do duds. When they win, we do studs. We're going to be doing duds for the next 2 weeks well, actually, honestly, they might win this game next week, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. So your number 3 dud, Glenn, give me your number. Yeah, give it to me.
My number 3 dud, after, going back and watching the game again, the film, excuse me, as much of it as I could. It pains me to say it, and we may not disagree as much as you think, but I had to give it to Bryce Petty. I felt like, I think sometimes, I know, at least for me, sometimes my view of quarterbacks gets skewed because as a Jets fan, we have so many bad quarterbacks to compare these guys to. And when a guy comes out and doesn't throw – I mean, you look at the box score, he had 2 picks. As far as I'm concerned, the first one was a DPI on that throw to Sterling over the middle. Sterling got hit before the ball was there. That's why the ball popped up. That should have been a flag. That wasn't on Petty. And the last one was just a desperation heave down the field. The receiver fell down. These aren't like bad decisions and throws in a triple coverage. Just one's a missed penalty. The other one's a receiver falls down on a Hail Mary, basically. And the fact that, I understand even some of his balls that were hitting his receivers in the hands, they weren't what you'd call on target, but some of them were catchable balls. So it was encouraging that he wasn't, we weren't seeing a ton of turnovers. He didn't look lost. He was, he was making some reads where he was hitting the right receivers, but just a little bit off, and he's got to be better. He one of his biggest plays to Robbie Anderson was a ball that was in the dirt. Robbie Anderson had to scoop it up and turn around and take it, 8-9 yards after he scooped it off the ground.
Yeah, the hitch. Yep.
Yeah, so even when he was hitting guys, I would like to see. I rewatched the film. I didn't get the last couple drives. I'd like to. I'm going to go rewatch the flag to Austin Seferian-Jenkins and try to figure out if that was a catchable ball, because that probably would have been one of his best throws of the day and would have been a touchdown.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, his best throw of the day was the one to Austin Seferian-Jenkins with the pass interference. Catchable ball, extended, but still a spot where only his guy could get it. So he made some good throws, but there were still too many easy throws that he missed.
Yeah, I'm going to get into him in a little bit before I pull up all the film, because he is a little bit higher on my list, Glenn. But in terms of the good plays, yeah, the Elijah McGuire, when he hit him deep down the field on the right sideline, that was a nice throw. The throw to Austin Seferian-Jenkins, nice throw. The make sure you turn that label out when you're drinking that beer, Glenn, because if we need sponsors, so if, just make sure you scratch it off, right?
Product placement.
I'm just kidding. Yeah. Like, I was just watching that movie really quick. Wayne's World. Remember that scene in Wayne's World?
Yeah.
We're about to, Doritos. These are delicious. We're not about product. But okay.
He's wearing like a Domino's jumpsuit or something.
Yeah.
Jumpsuit.
Yeah, they're not about promotion. But okay, sorry. Yeah, so for Petty, yeah, he had a good throw. Like I said, Chad Hansen on the left sideline, Elijah McGuire down the right sideline. He had to throw to Austin Seferian-Jenkins. He also had a scramble on 3rd and 4. That was a nice play. But there was minimum of 6 or 7 balls that he just really missed the guy, or it was super low and they had to dive down to the ground or catch it. I think I only counted 1 or 2 actual drops by the receivers. So he had a really off game, and just his footwork is terrible, Glenn. It is terrible. And I'm going to bring up a couple plays, and almost every single one you're going to see the same exact just trend of his either hips opening up too wide or his foot pointing in the wrong direction. Just bad footwork.
It was bad enough that you look at it and you think, how does a guy get to the NFL, obviously we have no way of knowing, but what the hell has his coaching staff been doing with this guy for 2.5 years? That you can't get him to correct something, and I heard Bryce Petty say, these are all correctable things. Yeah, they're correctable enough that they should have been corrected already. And if they're not, and, as we've talked about, even if you correct them, guys tend to, revert to what they know most or know best under pressure. So even if he's having even if he starts playing well, how's he going to do under pressure? But, again, will he ever be anything more than a backup? Probably not. It's his 5th NFL start. He's, Hackenberg, we saw he's going to get killed if you put him out there. You really can't put him out there. So you kind of have no choice.
Yeah, and like I said, I'll get to Petty and all the bad plays in a little bit. Now, in terms of the interception, they just ran they ran an in flat concept where literally just an in and a flat from wherever it may be on that play. I think it was just from the wide tight end or whoever it was. Maybe it was a slot receiver. Now, he does throw the ball a little bit late, so he does give the cornerback a chance to even make a play on the ball. But still, I do agree with you. And like I said, we're not people who are going to just defend the Jets. We'll call a spade a spade. But it was defensive pass interference in my opinion. So I agree with you there. Now, while the throw was late, that's why I could blame on him a little bit, but that's not all on him. So I agree with you there. The other one was just a deep hail, not even a Hail Mary, just a chuck.
Just a desperation at the end of the game. Yeah,
to JoJo Natson, and JoJo Natson's actually trying to readjust to the ball in the air, and he trips over his own feet. It's funny too. Just in terms of tripping over feet, I actually saw like a big somebody put out like an Ardarius Stewart, like, oh, he trucked this guy over, he pancaked him blocking. If you watch the play over again, all he does is step on the guy's foot and he trips. So he actually steps on the guy's foot and pushes him. Everybody's like, yo, he pancaked him. No, he stepped on his foot. It was an accident. So, but regardless, Petty, like I said, he's a little bit higher up on my list. My number 3, Glenn, and this was kind of like a weird game in terms of studs and duds, because like nobody really there are like obviously a lot of bad plays, a lot of good plays, but nobody like really.
Yeah, nobody. I had a hard time with it. I have 2 studs and 2 duds right now. Everyone else is just kind of out there.
Oh, well, I have 3 and 3, but my number 3, I'm going to go with the offensive line again, Glenn. I'm not going to go over it too much. We've been talking about it a lot.
Yeah.
On this play, it's just a duo run. It's called the duo run. And the backside center and guard are going to work their way to the weak inside linebacker or the backside linebacker here. And what happens again is Winters, who's been just terrible this year, just lets this guy cross his face and something like you always like to say, Glenn, where we don't really know. And like I said, I'm pretty sure, I'm 99% sure this is a duo run. And you see Winters trying to chase the guy that he was responsible for back into the backfield, where Powell can cut through this little gap right here, which is, I believe it's I don't know if it's the A gap or B gap. It's the B gap.
B gap.
He can cut through the B gap, but unfortunately he can't cut through the B gap, so it's to cut it back outside when he has leverage. When Beachum has leverage inside, Tomlinson has leverage inside because it's supposed to be an inside run, but he has to cut it back outside because Winters barely even gets a hand on the guy that he is responsible to block, because Wesley Johnson's working to the second level to back that backside linebacker. Like I said, on the duo run, that's his responsibility. And Winters just misjudges it, jumps inside. The defensive tackle just jumps outside, and he gets around. Powell has to cut it back, and it's a yard loss or whatever it may be when he could split through this hole. Glenn, if he splits through this hole, that could be a decent-sized gain. So it's just we see this over and over and over again with the running game, where the running backs have what is Powell supposed to do here? Beachum's playing with inside leverage. Tomlinson's playing with inside leverage. You're expecting him to cut through this hole, and he's not able to because Winters gets beat so bad that he's gonna tackle Powell where he's supposed to go. So we see this week after week, and I think they average like 4.4 yards per carry, and people might bring that up. But if you really watch the film, it's more by the plays that the running backs made. There's only maybe 4 or 5 plays I noticed where like, okay, that was decent blocking, but it was mainly the running backs. It's not how the offensive line was blocking. So.
Yeah, it was it was just kind of what you just come to expect from this offensive line. I mean, you could easily make them like I said, I got 2. I can make them a 3, the 2, or the 1 every week. It's embarrassing, and every time I hear a Jets fan say, we don't have a running back, we got a couple guys who can run the ball. They have nowhere to run it. So, Bilal Powell, all these, Forte, McGuire, they've all shown if you give them a little bit of room, they'll make a play. But they just don't have room often enough. And Brian Winters, man, I mean, what a disaster he's been in year 1 of this big contract extension he got. And, we talked about it before, as much as people want to kill McCagnon for it. I don't know how a GM accounts for a guy that, Brian Winters struggled his first few years in the league. There's no doubt about that, but he played well enough last year that there was no reason to think he would just come in this season and forget how to play football. And when you watch him, sometimes that's what it feels like. And it's beyond frustrating because we're seeing this every week. And, this team they have enough holes on this roster. They don't need any guys who they were counting on to play well, who have played well in the past. to just all of a sudden, Carpenter and Winters are now liabilities. Like, do you look
can I just interrupt you, and I want you to continue with this? I saw people like retweeting and talking about how Carpenter was really good this year. And
it's unbelievable.
And that's the stuff that I said last week. I'm not going to go on a whole rant again, but just watch film or inform yourself because Winters or Carpenter, I believe, is, and we don't go by Pro Football Focus all the time, but just for reference, because I know people love to look at their stats. Carpenter is Pro Football Focus 64 ranked guard this year. There's 64 starters in the league, and he's their 64. And obviously, people sub in, et cetera, but he's a very, very low tier starter right now, or a good backup type of guy. And people are saying, "Oh, he's a Pro Bowl type player." Like what? Like, have you watched him this year? He's been terrible, Glenn. Terrible. And go ahead.
It's one of those things. Like I said, you can't anticipate it. You can't. There's no way that this team that there was no fan and no one in that front office, I'm sure, looked at this season and said, we expect James Carpenter to take a huge step backward and be completely incapable this year at left guard. But that's been the case with him and Brian Winters on an every week basis. Every week, they've had, I guess, they probably had one or two good games against Buffalo, maybe. But by and large, they've been a complete disaster. And again, this team, when you have as many holes as this team has, when you're an established vet starter making big money and you're still in your prime and you just don't show up for a year, I think it's a concern heading into next year because, there's only so much, even with all the money they have, there's only so many draft picks and free agents you can acquire. Yeah. And there are much higher priorities than this. They basically, Mike McCagnon shouldn't be going into this offseason having to worry about the guard position, but he probably is to some degree. They have bigger fish to fry than getting another guard, but it's just been embarrassing.
Yeah, and that's when I see those stuff about how well they're playing at guard. It's like, what? Like, have you watched more than 3 seconds of film? And Glenn, honestly, I don't know if it's something stupid, but the last this entire year, what really good running performance did they have other than the Buffalo Bills game?
Right.
I know people say Jacksonville, but listen, the Elijah McGuire long run that was well blocked. I'll give him that. But the Powell run, listen, if you're a Jets fan or not, that's a fluky play. They didn't touch him up, and he got up and ran for a touchdown. That wasn't because of the blocking. He actually had to jump over a guy, I think, almost a yard into the backfield, tripped over.
Yep.
So it's not like, they opened up a huge alley. It was fluky. So, you have to look at things past stats. So they've been terrible this year. They're like I've said many times, and it's hard for whether it be Josh McCown, a veteran, or Petty, a younger player who's trying to learn the ropes to have success if they can't lean on the run game. It is what it is. Imagine if Mark Sanchez didn't have a run game. Can you imagine? Like, come on. And with the
the best running game in the NFL, and he was horrible.
He had the best run game in the NFL. He had the best offensive line. He had the number
touchdowns.
He had the number. I think his first year, the number 1 defense, like the number 3 defense. Yep. Can you imagine him? Okay, with one of the worst offensive lines in the league, very little lack of weapons on the offense. There's a couple guys, but still a lack of weapons. I'll say overall, and a defense who's consistently allowing 30+ points. So it's hard for regard. And you look at McCown, and 9 or 18. touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and probably maybe 2 rushing touchdowns. I would say he had a freaking good year.
He's got 5 rushing touchdowns.
Okay. Well, wow. I didn't even know that. Well, I knew that. Well, I didn't, I guess. But that's impressive. So 24 total touchdowns. And I don't know how many fumbles he had, but I would say probably 3 or 4. I could be wrong, but I would say 3 or 4, Glenn. But still, overall solid year for a guy like McCown. And but okay, we're getting off topic, Glenn.
I'm going to double check his rushing touchdowns. Go ahead.
Well, there's really nothing else for me to say, but I'll move on to your number 2, Glenn. My number 2, and I'll just go to, is actually, we'll get into it, I guess, a little bit now. I guess we'll leave out the Todd Bowles aspect of this, but Wilkerson. Again, and he didn't even play the game and you're getting a dud, but to not show up to meetings, to be late, to give bullshit excuses. I don't care what my daughter, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And even if it was a real excuse, you've done it way too many times. The Jets are not giving you the benefit of the doubt, the boy who cried wolf type of thing. Late to another meeting, guy who's consistently showing up late to work, I think is the 4th highest paid non-quarterback in the league next year behind Von Miller, Ndamukong Suh. Maybe Antonio Brown. I think he's 4 or 5. You're not showing up for work. So these guys on this team have to hate him. If I was a guy like, let's say Leonard Williams, and he's making what, Glenn, maybe $6-7 million this year, first round draft pick. I'm not sure what he's making in his this year, but somewhere right around there. Let's just say. I'm not trying to be too get exactly on his contract. I don't know off the top of my head what a guy is. This is his third year, 2016, 15, 16, 17. Yes, in his third year. I think he's been a little bit too crapped on this year, where I think he's having a good year. Now, do I think he's Pro Bowl type of Leonard Williams player that I thought he was going to be going into this year? No, I think he's disappointed a little bit. Still a very good player, but imagine being Leonard Williams and looking at Muhammad Wilkerson making $17 million a year, and he's not even
Leo's making $5 million, Mo's making 18.
Okay, $5 million. Okay, so I was $1 million or two off, but regardless, can you imagine being him or Jamal Adams or Marcus May or anybody on this team, Robbie Anderson, and you're showing up to work and working your ass off every day, and this guy's not showing up to meetings, gets left home. He got benched for a quarter against – what team was that, Glenn? Was that against the Chiefs?
I believe so. I know it was the Dolphins last year. Yeah,
Dolphins last year, the Giants 2015. This game gets left home. He doesn't even travel with the team, so he's gone. And if, like I said, we'll hold this off for later, but if the Jets decide to play him these next two games, they're in more shit than people even know. So yeah, Wilkerson gets mine too.
Actually, how about Cody Ely making $800,000 and outplaying Mo Wilkerson every single week?
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Or Steve McClendon, like he's playing his ass off every single week, and he doesn't get the recognition he deserves. And Wilkerson's sitting on his ass doing nothing and trying. I would say he's trying like 60 to 65, 70% of the snaps, but he's taking off a whole bunch of snaps and just not showing up. So he gets my number 2. I cannot wait to see the day that Wilkerson is cut. I really can't.
Yeah, he's I had a fleeting moment yesterday where I thought to myself, because Todd Bowles said, we're still working through some things. So you kind of got the impression they were sitting down talking. And I thought, if you could if you could pitch to him that you're not in our plans next year because of what you've done, you can go somewhere else and start new, try to get a new deal from someone, or you can take like a 60% pay cut here and prove yourself again. Because apparently that's the only thing that lit a fire under his ass was needing that payday. So I thought maybe they try to rework his deal and, play hardball with him basically, because he's going to go somewhere next year on a but you know what, though? The fact that he's practicing today, I'm not so sure he's gone. I think he might win like the team MVP, the Dennis Bird Courage Award, and come back next year as a team captain at this point. I don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, I don't even want him back, Glenn. I just want a nice, refreshing new start without him. Well, not even a new start, but I want him off the team. I don't want to see him back next year. We'll talk about Sheldon in a little bit. I'm kind of on the fence a little bit more about that one, but still, I don't want to see him in this locker room either. It's not like he's producing a lot this year. Like I said, we'll get into that, Glenn. Your number 2, who is it?
My number 2 was Darron Lee. Darron Lee. He got beat up on that big run late in the game. And I hate to pick on the guy for getting beat by someone like Kamara, because Kamara has been beating the crap out of everybody all year. Like he's a guy that everyone's having a hard time covering. But Lee, for a guy who's supposed to be able to cover well, he didn't just get beat. He looked completely overmatched. So probably the worst game we've seen from him in a little while. But he did make a couple plays. It wasn't all bad. But in having to pick somebody, he'd be my number 2.
Yeah, and there was a couple of plays like he sniffed out a screen, but the play where
and actually by default, I guess my number 1, because I'll go O-line, Petty, Darron Lee.
Okay, but yeah, there was one play where I think it was Ingram leaked out of the backfield, and he actually broke off vertically, and then he did a pivot route. If he didn't run a pivot route and he ran an angle route, Lee was beat bad. He actually got lucky that he ran a pivot route because he was so far outside. He got beat by Kamara on the angle route pretty badly. Like I said, he made a few plays, but I would say this is one of his more rough games. Now, is it Darron Lee beginning of the year rough? No, it's not, because he stood out almost every single player. What the hell is this guy doing? But this play, Glenn, like I said, this was just the lead inside the zone, and this is where let me actually move this up because it happens down. Well, Skrine actually is slow to recognize this on the edge, so he actually he's slow to recognize, so he actually lets him get a big gain too. But if you look at Lee, he's coming through the A-B-C gap. He's coming to the C gap, and I'm pretty sure he falls down to avoid contact here. And what is he trying to do there? Can you tell me? Because that's what I thought. That's what I put up. I think he fell to avoid contact. You're seeing a 250-pound fullback running straight at you, the head of steam, and he just falls down. This is a Wilkerson type of thing. So
to me, it looks like he just gets knocked on his ass.
Yeah, but look, Glenn, if you look at it, he plants and then he starts sitting back before he even hits him.
Yeah.
So why is he sitting? Why is he sitting backwards and stopping his momentum forward before he even gets there?
That reminds me of if you look back at the Calvin Pryor's rookie year against the Dolphins, when Lamar Miller had that 98-yard touchdown run, and the Dolphins had everybody blocked up front except Calvin Pryor, who was, they were head on. They were two guys just head of steam, and Calvin Pryor slipped and fell out flat on his stomach, and Lamar Miller went from the 2-yard line all the way to the end zone untouched. And I think that's when I kind of realized maybe this guy's not this Louisville slugger that was advertised, because he just completely laid down when he saw somebody, an NFL running back with a full head of steam coming at him.
Yeah, and this play too. This is where he got beat by the angle route, and he's just squatting with outside leverage right here. And Kamara just beats him easily inside on the angle route, which, like I said, maybe if this was the Mario Davis, okay, it's Kamara, but for a guy who's 235, has this crazy speed to get beat that bad, he got caught flat-footed too. He's just standing there flat. That's why he gets beat inside. But regardless, he got beat there. And actually on this play too, I know Marcus May had a good game, but Marcus May reacts to the pump fake to the field side from Breeze, and he lets this tight end get right behind him on a corner route. So he could have threw. Look how open that corner route is too. So he got beat.
Yeah,
actually,
there.
Yeah, actually Marcus May too, and I'll just bring up next. We're talking about him. He wasn't even my studs, but that time where Michael Thomas were in that post, the Jets were in cover 4, and he was late to react to the post route from Michael Thomas, and he gets beat over his head, and Michael Thomas just didn't have good awareness to get both of his feet inbound. So Marcus May could have easily got beat for 2 touchdowns this game. That's why he wasn't in my studs. I thought about it. He did make a lot of good plays, but there was too many plays where they would have been big screw-ups. But, yeah, I can understand Lee being in there too. He was going to be my number 3, but I had to put the O-line in there, and I had to put Wilkerson in there because I'm just done with Wilkerson. If I would have told you after the 2015 draft, Glenn, after drafting Leo, and I just said in a couple of years it's just going to be Leo on that line, you're like, you're freaking crazy, dude. But it's what it's going to be unless they sign back Sheldon, which came from the New York Daily News. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. So how real is that? Take that with a grain of salt from them because they're a joke. I'm sorry. Well, I'm not sorry. They're a joke. So, Glenn, my number 1 is Bryce Petty, 9 for 39, 179 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. The one was just a heave. The other one, like I said, I would say it was half on him, but half on the defensive pass interference where he threw the ball late on the in-flat concept. And but like I said, a little bit late, gave the defensive back a chance to make the play. I'm going to bring up a couple of plays here. Let's see. I have a decent amount of them actually, just because maybe I won't put up all of them, but he just had really, really bad footwork in this game. This is
not that it was much better, Joe, but you caught me off guard there. You said he was 9 for 39. He was 19 for 39.
Oh yeah, oops, 19.
You said 9. I was like, oh my god, he was so much worse than I thought. And
no,
I was like, okay. I knew he was in the neighborhood of 50% with I counted 4 or 5 drops. I know you said 2. I guess it depends on how strict you're grading. But basically I counted 5 balls that hit receivers' hands that they didn't come down with.
Oh yeah, but when it's in the dirt and you have to almost dive forward for it, I'm not going to necessarily put that on the receiver.
Yeah, not only though, the early one toward Darius Stewart, it was a little bit low, but it was catchable. Robbie had one. It would have been a yard short of the first down, but Robbie had a drop.
Those are the 2 that I definitely gave him. Robbie Anderson, that's the thing that I've said a lot on this show, where he needs to work on securing the ball when he's working back towards the ball, where it's coming straight at him, not over his shoulder. He does have a decent amount of drops like that. He just does.
Yeah.
And this was just a flood concept. So if you're watching on YouTube, usually a flood concept, you have either a back or a tight end. He leaks out into the flat. You have the outside receiver running not really a hitch, it's a curl or a comeback, and then you have the guy from the slot running a corner route, and he's throwing the corner route. and you can just see how bad his footwork is again, Glenn. He's leaning way too much on his back foot. That's one. You can see his plant foot. You're supposed to drive through your plant foot. So you want your plant foot to stay there, and you want to bring up your right leg and drive through that, kind of like a follow through in basketball.
It's like stiff.
What do you say?
That front leg, it's like stiff. There's no bounce. It's really awkward. Yeah.
He's leaning way too far back. He's not stepping through his throw. So he's like kind of like almost throwing off his back foot. And you're supposed to step, like while you're throwing the ball, you rotate your hips and you step into the throw. That's how you generate power. He's not generating power really through his hips, and his foot is sliding. Like that is not supposed to happen. One, and you're supposed to step through, and like it's just not good footwork there. So he misses way too high. And that was a pass interference call, where they actually called back. It wasn't pass interference because the ball was uncatchable. So we have. Yeah. So we have that, and I watched it too, and I was like, oh, like hopefully we get lucky here, but obviously like now I'm rooting for the Jets to win when I watch, but at this point it's like okay, just I'm fine with them losing to it at this point. This was the Anderson one that you're talking about, Glenn, on the hitch, and you can see like look how that's bad footwork again. His back foot is way too far out. His feet are like staggered. And as I've said before, you want to point your foot where you want the ball to go. So if you want the ball to go to Anderson, why is his foot pointing towards the sideline? So his like body's like fighting his own foot. His foot slides again. So he's not driving through his foot. His foot slides again. And guess what? He's low to Anderson. Anderson catches it, runs for a first down. So that's a completion. That's a terrible ball.
How are you in year 3 of being coached in the NFL, and this is what you're doing? Like if you looked at his foot, you would think, oh, this must have been a wide receiver screen. But
yes.
It's not, and it's just
did he throw a bubble screen? No. Did he throw a wide receiver screen? No. Maybe it's like a really short, like a smoke route, something like that. Yeah, but his foot is literally pointed towards the sideline, and with it being pointed towards the sideline, it drags again when he throws it. He's throwing wrong. He's one of his feet are, I think, a little bit too wide, and he has a lot of power on it coming off his back foot again. And he doesn't step through again. Like I said, you want to step through, like a follow through. He's not really stepping through, truly like a drive through the ball. He's not doing that. So that was another one, Glenn. I'm going to bring up another one. Like it's just, and I saw this all game, and he missed a lot of receivers or just threw bad balls where they even did catch it. So this is why he was my number one. It's just inexcusable for year 3. And I don't know if that's coaches, but this one again, Glenn, where is his foot pointed? Is he following through this throw? Is he driving? Is he driving through the throw? No, he's not. Is he like that follow through? Like I said, you want to step up and through the throw. He's not, and it's way too low, and it bounces, I think, before it even hits Hanson's hands. So, like I said, if you're pointing towards the sideline, the ball and your body are going to want to go through the sideline. So one, you're awkwardly fighting your own body because you can't plant your foot right, and that's why the ball goes low. If he puts his foot and he lines up with Hanson, he drives through that ball, he's gonna get more power. 1, and 2, he's not gonna miss that throw. So there's another one. So that's number 3. He also missed Anderson on a short crossing route where Anderson was open, and he kind of and it's hard because it's on the run, but he still didn't drive through the throw like he's necessarily supposed to when you're throwing on the run. And this will be my last one, Glenn. I could bring up a couple more, but I'm not going to. And this was Anderson on a comeback. And where is his plant foot? It is towards the sideline when he's going to throw the ball, doesn't drive through the ball. Again, this happens. So this is 4 times in a row where his foot is off. Well, actually, the first one, his foot wasn't that off, but third time where his foot is definitely off. It slides when he throws. It's not supposed to slide. It's not supposed to move at all. That's your plant foot. Is not truly driving through his hips through the ball or through his step. And he misses Anderson short yet again. So
he's open. It's there.
He's open. He has a good, 2 yards?
Yep.
On a comeback route, and it's just a complete miss. Why is his foot planted towards the sideline? It's bad. And how can you not follow through on a throw? I don't know if this is the Jets coaches or what, and I've said it before too, where it's easy to say, okay, well, we can fix this guy's mechanics, but I've said it before, when you're in a game and shit's hitting the fan, even though he has a pretty clean pocket, he has actually a really clean pocket here, he has time to readjust whatever he has to do, and he just misses. So I don't know if this is on him, I don't know if this is on the coaches, but you can't miss a receiver who's that open by a lot. Like, it doesn't look like too much, but he needs to put this ball another couple of yards higher to even hit him in the chest. So
yeah,
that's why he gets my number 3, Glenn.
Yeah, again, deservedly so. It was again, I counted more drops than you did early on, and I always feel like when a young inexperienced quarterback comes in, guys got to step up a little bit. I feel like that didn't happen because guys either they caught the routine stuff. You didn't really see any. You saw too many drops for my liking. But at the end of the day, he was bad. And again, at this point, you have to wonder if he's even going to be a backup quarterback at this point.
Yeah, exactly. And this just doesn't make any sense. Like his hips are even more pointed towards the sideline. Like you want to be linear. So honestly, even if he was trying to throw towards the sideline, like on a screen, you want his back foot to be over here. You want to have your hips lined up. They could be a little bit staggered, but in general, you want to have them linear. Obviously, because that makes sense. Just I can't even think of the word. Just by the body and how it works and how it moves. You want your hips to be lined up, like I said, and that's just terrible right there, Glenn. And there was one throw too where his shoulder was too high, and then he missed high. Like he just, I don't know, man, a bad game. I know it was his first start in a while, and you said that they caught the easier balls, but still, like I said, those exact plays that I showed of him missing them, there's at least another 3 or 4 where I could show you just like that, where not driving through, plant foot's off, the feet are too staggered. So just not a good game at all. But moving on to I guess, I don't know if we should even talk about this. There's no chance that you think Hackenberg could be in the next 2 games, right?
I don't see it. I mean, as bad as Petty was.
Is he even on his team next year, Hackenberg?
I think he gets a chance to come to camp, and if he's not vastly improved, I think he's off the roster. Only because why not? You get to carry 90 all off season. You get a huge roster in camp. You bring in a bunch of bodies anyway. Maybe he gives you a chance to save face and something clicks. I seriously doubt it. So is he on the roster? I would say he's on the preseason roster. Is he on the roster week 1? I don't think so.
Maybe we use him to trade up for a quarterback in the draft, Glenn.
Yeah.
That'll give us negative points on the draft chart.
I mean, could you get a 7th rounder from him if the Texans don't fire Bill O'Brien? Would Bill O'Brien take Christian Hackenberg for a 7th?
I would drive him to Houston. Well, maybe not for a 7th round pick.
If you can't get Bill O'Brien to take him for a 7th, then you cut him, basically.
What is that draft that they have the middle of the year? It's like the veteran draft. I don't know if it's like a veteran draft. It's like some random draft.
I thought they may have gotten rid of that. There was the veteran combine.
I'll take a 7th round pick in that draft for the lowest pick for Christian Hackenberg at this point, dude.
That's the thing. It's not even a draft. It's just a workout for guys who want to get free agent deals.
All right, I'll take rights to the 5th waiver claim in that or something. I don't even know what it is, but I'll take that for Hackenberg at this point. I just don't think if they have no faith in him, they even play him now after his 2nd year in the NFL, Glenn.
2nd round pick,
and he wasn't even active for some of these games this year. So
he was only active for 2.
Yeah, and I think that he honestly, because Petty, we say okay, he could be a good backup. I'm not sure if he's even a good backup at this point, but 3rd string quarterback. If I had to choose between Petty and Hackenberg, I'm choosing Petty right now for at least 3rd string.
You got it. So, again, all I think of when I think of Hackenberg is how many times we saw him get leveled in the preseason when he didn't see an oncoming blitzer, like a safety or a nickel creeping up into the box with no blocker on the edge and just coming through free, and Hackenberg had no idea he was there. And it happened several times in a few preseason games, even though he got a lot of reps for preseason. Not a huge sample size, and he just kept getting drilled and drilled and drilled. And I'm guessing as a number 3 quarterback who is consistently inactive, he's probably not getting more than 1 or 2 passes in practice.
And I think something that I'm not sure if you agree with me but you just said 1 or 2 passes in practice, but I think people kind of overlook practice too much. Where listen, if you're an NFL coach and you're a professional evaluator of players, if they look like shit in practice, let's just throw them in the game and maybe they'll just magically be better players. You pretty much know what they are in practice. Maybe they lightning strike in a game type of thing. And you want to play them a little bit in a game, but for the most part, I think they know what they are in practice. That's just my opinion. It's not like a different world.
You would think, but that there's some truth to that. But how do you explain, even though it only lasted about 5 minutes, how do you explain Tom Savage starting over Deshaun Watson to start the season? You know what I mean? Even years ago with the Jets that year when they started out 1-3 or whatever it was with Vinny under center.
Oh,
and
Clyde Gates.
Herm just kind of said, screw it, we got to put Chad Pennington in there. And Pennington has one of the best seasons in franchise history for a quarterback. And you're watching him thinking, why was this guy the backup for the first 4 weeks? Like, weren't they watching him in practice? Can't they see that he's a better player than the guy in front of him? So it does happen. But I see what you mean. By and large, you kind of err on the side of what they're doing. But sometimes you guys come out, man. Look at Case Keenum right now.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, and I agree with it. Like, sometimes it does happen, but like I said, for the most part, I think they know what they are in practice. And usually happens with like young guys where we don't necessarily we're not Texan Nation Radio, so like we don't know what the situation is there. Where maybe they didn't think he was developing fast enough. They wanted to be err on the safe side. There could have been a lot of things why they didn't start him over Tom Savage. But regardless, okay, let's get off it. But like I said, I still think practice, at least 80, 85, 90%, what the player is. But I guess, guys like Clyde Gates and stuff that are bad in practice and they come out and just destroy preseasons. So, but let's move on. Like I said, to the studs, Glenn, my number 3, I don't have a video up for it. I'm not going to bring up a video. Maybe I will, but, I'm going to say the Jets running backs, Powell, 13 rushes for 44 yards, 3.4 yards per carry, nothing impressive. But still, like I said, with the offensive line and how they were blocking, the fact that he even had 3.4 yards per carry was pretty impressive. Elijah McGuire, 4 rushes, 24 yards for 6 yards per carry, 3 receptions, 48 yards. Had that one long one down the right sideline where he beat a linebacker because they were in cover one man, I believe. And Forte, he had a couple nice runs too. So, like I said, nobody really stood out this game. So I just gave it to the running backs for 3. It's kind of just a throw in, I guess these guys.
Yeah, it was kind of replaying some of these Petty throws in my mind. Having said I only have 2 guys. I'm going to add a number 3 because he had what I thought was the best catch of the game, Chad Hansen, on that long pass from Petty. It was way, way high, and Hansen really went up the ladder and pulled that down. Definitely the best catch we've seen from him this year. Of course, he's been very limited action and very limited targets. But man, that catch was something else. So just based on that alone, I'm going to show him a little bit of love and call him. That's where the defender draped on him, and he, it's full extension with his arms, and he pulls that down with the DB's helmet right under the ball. That's a nice job.
Yeah. And this is they were in cover 2. Hansen releases to the outside or gets the outside release he wants, and they call this zone or this area, just for I guess the football nerds, in cover 2. He's curl to flat, so he plays curl to flat. And you have a deep safety over here, and this area between them is called the honey hole, where it's the soft spot in the zone, but obviously there's nobody in the flat. So Marshall Lattimore carries Hansen vertically, and Hansen just makes a beautiful catch. That's beautiful. Yeah. Hand catch, extended arms, and another nicer part about it too that
defender right underneath him.
Defender right underneath him, and another thing people don't even notice. You just notice the catch, but the fact that he
swat.
Yes, the fact the fact that that's what you're going to say. Marshall Lattimore tries to sweat the ball away, but the fact that Hansen, 1, catches it in bounds, and 2, takes the ball and places it as far as away as he can from the defender so he can't swat it. He meant to do that. He took the ball away from the corner, didn't give him a chance to make a play on the ball to deflect it out after he caught it. So that was a beautiful play from Hansen.
Yeah, like I said, best play of the game on offense, I think. So, the best catch anyway. So that gets him the number 3 for me.
Yeah, I can agree with you. That's pretty nice. I would say best play probably of the game, or close to it. But yeah, really, really nice catch over Lattimore, who I said on Twitter last week, I think he's already almost a top 5 corner. And I think that you're looking at guys like him and Jalen Ramsey for, maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but the next couple of years are going to be number 1 and 2 competing for that number 1 spot for a while. I think Lattimore is really, really good. Before the draft, I said I liked him, but I didn't want the Jets to draft him at 6 because of the injury problems. If he stays healthy, he is a fantastic corner right now. But okay.
Yeah, there were a lot of people that said that minus the injuries, he would have been he was the most talented guy. If not for the injuries, he would have been hands down.
Easily. He would have been a top 3 pick in my opinion if he didn't have injuries. Glenn, he was amazing at Ohio State. But let's see. moving on. Actually, let's just go to your number 2, Glenn.
Number 2, Steve McClendon. There was a time, honestly, I think late third quarter, I found myself saying, God, what happened to the Saints running game? Like, they really disappeared for a while. They just kind of abandoned it. The Jets were actually doing a really nice job against the run for a big chunk of time. And Steve McClendon was a big reason for that. We saw it on the field, and we saw it in the, if you looked at the PFF rankings after the game, he was the first or second highest rated guy. And we see him do it every week now. And it's, I was thinking the other day, is he a guy that they're working on, extending him at some point? Because I would love to see him get another 1 or 2 year deal.
Especially, he can't replace Wilkerson because they're not necessarily the same position. But giving him, let's say, what is his snap percentage this year, Glenn? Maybe 50% of the snaps, let's just say, hypothetically. Now, if you get rid of Wilkerson, you sign a guy like a Ledger Doozable type of guy. He plays, the other 50% of the snaps, and you can throw McClendon in there as a 3-tech more. And you pay him again, I'm fine with him being here. And this is another play, Glenn, where actually it should have been defensive holding, but this is just a smart play by him. The Saints are running a lead inside zone, and this the center is trying to get off this block to get to Davis. But if you look at McClendon's hand, who is he's the 1-tech right here, he actually grabs the center's shoulder pad, not letting him get to Davis, and then Davis fills for the tackle. So plays like this, you don't see, okay, well, smart veteran play. He grabbed the center shoulder pad and didn't let him get to Davis. Like that's just a smart NFL play. And yeah, it could have been holding, but in the trenches like that, for a ref to see that would be hard. But you could see, he grabs him right here and he can't get off of it, and it lets Davis make this tackle. So McClendon he's been playing awesome almost every single game.
41% of the snaps for McClendon this year.
Okay, so I was relatively close, but yeah, let's say you move them up to 65% of the snaps, and you get another guy for $2-3 million, maybe $4 million. You can come in and play 35-40% of the snaps. You can play McClendon more, but yeah, Glenn, if you see this, you just holds the guy's shoulder pad so he can't get to Davis. That is super impressive. If you're not watching on YouTube, you should be, because you understand what I'm saying, but you can't really see it. But if you're watching on YouTube, you can clearly see him grab the guy's shoulder pad. He can't get out to Davis. Davis makes a tackle. He does not get on the stat sheet from that, but he's just super, super impressive, like I said, this year. So I think he's like I wouldn't call him like our X factor of the year, Glenn. I guess after the season, we'll do some like our own award ceremony where we give out, MVP and all this stuff. And
Mo Wilkerson.
Oh, MVP. Yeah.
All the awards, all of them. He gets all of them. He's a leader.
Yeah. My number 2, Glenn, I'm going to give it, let me see. I'm going to give it to Jamal Adams. I thought he had a relatively good game. There was a couple plays where he's still diving at guys' ankles, which he does all the time. This play, he's in our inside zone. There's a Willie Snead trying to block him in the ABC gap. He fights through the block, and he comes backside to make a tackle on Kamara, because Kamara's actually jammed up a little bit here, because actually McClendon's eating a double block, doesn't let the combo block get to the second level. You see Leonard Williams win on the play side gap. So he hesitates a little bit, but you see, Jamal Adams fight through the backside and get a tackle on Kamara. So he had a couple of those plays. Now there was one play down. I think the Jets were in cover 3 or 4, but he left his assignment, and there's almost a big completion to a tight end, and also that big play to was it to Ingram, that big screen in the beginning of the game, Glenn. The Jets were in cover 1 man. It was obvious that they were in cover 1 man, and he blitzes off the side where I think Jamal Adams just thinks that Ingram is staying into block, and he just leaves him, and then he leaks out on the screen and gets a 50-yard gain. So that was actually Adams' guy, so he did let up a big screen. But overall, I would say he had more good plays than bad plays. So I gave him my number 2. And the second one I'm going to bring up, this is actually just the really good hit. It's a great play on defense, and on the broadcaster. Buster screen. He put his helmet in there and he forced the ball out. It's what do you say?
I caught that. I was like, what is this guy talking about? That wasn't Buster screen.
Yeah, he wasn't. He was wrong. You can see it from this angle where Buster Skrine comes in, his helmet never hits the ball, and you see Jamal Adams come in and punch the ball out right there. I'm not sure if he even meant to punch the ball out. He probably did because he's super aggressive, even on one-on-one tackles where he doesn't have help. So when he's coming in to clean up a tackle, he probably did mean to do this. But, fires downhill, lays out Coleman just in full speed. This is in slow motion, but he laid him out, caused a fumble. Really nice game from Adams. And there's, I can pull up another, multiple plays where he had a really good game, 8 tackles, 6 solo tackles, 1 tackle for loss. Like I said, he did have that one big let up on that screen where he thought Ingram was staying in the block, but he leaked out on a screen, let up a 50-yard gain. But
I saw something, another PFF thing on him saying that, let's see, he leads all safeties in run stops with 20.
He also plays around the line of scrimmage more than other safeties, but
he does. He's around the line a lot. I think 80% of the time or something like that.
Yeah. So if he's almost like a, he's almost a linebacker. He's almost more like a linebacker than he is a safety this year. So obviously he's going to have more stops. But still, 20 run stops is a really impressive stat regardless. But, Glenn, did you give me your number 2? I'm not sure. Did you give me your number 2 or did you give me –
Yeah, my number 2 was McClendon.
Okay, yeah, your number 2 is McClendon. So who is your number 1?
Excuse me. Again, we talked about this briefly before we kicked off. Buster Skrine, man. Buster Skrine had himself a really nice game. Got to give credit where it's due. If he could play the way he played this week at a consistent level, then there would be no question he would be returning next year, even at that $8.5 million salary. But unfortunately for him, it hasn't been the norm. He struggled too much. I don't think he's back at 8.5, even if he thinks he is. But on this day, he did a damn good job.
Yeah, he was the best. He was the best player on the field. This is another play doesn't go into the stat sheet. They're running an outside zone, and look, like Xavier Cooper, like people, oh yeah, he made a really nice play. Which it was a nice play. He's fighting off 2 blockers, even though they're not really meaning to block him. They're meaning to block him, but this right guard is actually trying to get to the second level. But regardless, you see Buster Skrine fight past a wide receiver's block, which I think is a crack block. Looks like a crack block. He fights in, and look, he's taking out offensive linemen and letting Cooper get on the tackle. Like, what 175-pound dude is that aggressive? So he's aggressive, and it's not like he didn't mean to do this. You can see him duck his head into these guys. So he's trying to free up his guys on the backside. Cooper makes the tackle, so that's a play that people don't really – you're not going to see that during the game. Nice play from Skrine there. 5 tackles, 5 solo, 1 tackle for loss, a pass deflection. Glenn, I'll bring up 2 more plays from Buster Skrine here. In this one, they're running, I believe, this is just a sail concept 3-level read where you have 3 levels. Vertical, intermediate, flat, the short read. Usually, most offenses read high to low. So 1, 2, 3. Some offenses run or read low to high. So 1, 2 depends on what they're trying to do. What offense you're playing, I don't necessarily know what the Saints' reads are. But here he's in a curl to flat again, and he doesn't get sucked up by this guy running into the flat. He realizes that Breeze is throwing behind him, keeps his eyes on Breeze, readjusts to where he's going to, and he the ball, it was a great ball from Breeze, but great recognition here to contest it, and it wasn't a catch. So great play from Buster Skrine there. I'm gonna bring up one more, Glenn. Any thoughts on that?
No, I mean, going back to the previous play where he takes on the O-lineman and try to cut back and make a tackle. That's one thing that Buster Skrine, whether it's he got frustrated with the penalties, with him getting beat, on any given pass play. But one thing that you can always say about him, he's a tough dude, man. He's a small guy, but he's not afraid to mix it up. He's not afraid to get in there and make a big hit. And he just, seems like a high-character guy, just wishing he'd played a more consistent level, because that's when he plays like he did in that game and earlier this year against New England. He played a great game. If memory serves correctly, he played really well against Carolina. I could be wrong. But he's had 4, 5, 6 games this year where you look at him and go, this is what Joe and I talk about, how the ability to be a really good player is there, but it's just not there every week.
Yeah, and I think this is his best season as a Jet by far. Like I said, the Jets have played 14 games. I would say like four, five, six of them he's played pretty well. But then the other games he just doesn't play well at all. So he's very inconsistent with how good he is on a week-to-week basis. Now this month, these last couple of games, he's been pretty solid, but still, like I said, when you say $8.5 million next year, maybe he could reduce his cap, and then that's another guy you can have back next year. But I'm not.
That's the thing, though. He said the other day he wouldn't.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know that. So good catch, Glenn.
He said he expects to be back at the $8.5 million. I don't know if that's going to happen. The only thing that does make you wonder is they're so thin at corner, and they have so much cap room. Do they just say, you know what, just stick with him? I kind of before this season I wrote him off as a short cap casualty, but when you don't really have any other established corners, you have Claiborne, of course, who. Is he going to stay healthy again next year? Probably not. So as much as I wrote him off as a cap casualty all year, I'm starting to wonder. I mean, of course, a lot of it will depend on what happens in free agency and the draft. But and I'm not even saying I think it will happen. I'd say there's about a 10% chance of it happening, whereas before I would have said 0.
Yeah, even if it's a low percentage chance. But I obviously don't think he's going to say, yeah, I'll play for a cap. He's probably going to try to play, hardball. But regardless, yeah, I said, I think this is definitely his best year just because of a couple of games that he's had that are really good. And, this was a cover 3. This is a smash concept. It was high, high-low read. This guy just releasing vertically, like a semi-wheel route. And they're going to try to pull him vertically, and then they're trying to hit this short hitch route. And Buster Skrine just squats in his zone, recognizes that Breeze is throwing the ball and jumps on it. Now, I think this tight end definitely needs to work back to the ball. That's for damn sure. But regardless, for Buster Skrine almost picked this ball off. He's really close. Really, really nice play there to just keep his eyes on the quarterback and recognize the short pass attempt and jump it. So, like we've said, I would at least say this is his best year, Glenn, easily.
Yeah, definitely. Because we didn't really – his first couple of years, you rarely ever saw like this week may have been his best game as a Jet ever. And some of the games you mentioned earlier, the New England game, we didn't see any of that from him his first couple of years. So he's at least had some weeks this year where he does stand out and, kind of giving himself a fighting chance to come back next year. But I still think the Jets go out and draft at least one corner and try to sign a couple as well. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next 2 weeks with Justin Burris. Like I said, he saw a huge jump in his reps this week. Do they play him, as their nickel guy? I mean, that's the weird thing, though. I don't see him as a nickel corner, but that's where he played quite a bit this week. Yeah. And, of course, then you have the young guys, the Derek Jones of the world. Does he get a start or some reps before the season's over?
Yeah, him and Jeremy Clark, Derek Jones. I want those guys to see reps. Even Robinson. I know he had a bad game against the Chiefs, but I would like to see those guys get reps. But we'll see. Not a big game coming up. They have the chance to, dampen the Chargers playoff chances. I thought that last week they needed to win against the Chiefs to get in, but I still think they're only a game out of the playoffs for the wild card. So maybe the Jets can play spoiler and win at home. Last game, obviously it's going to move the Jets up in the draft. So I'm not going to love it at this point. I'm not rooting for losses, but at the end of the day, if they win by a touchdown in April. Would I rather have them win by a touchdown against the Chargers or lose and be at the 7th or 8th or 6th pick instead of the 10th? Probably. I hope they get the 6th pick again, Glenn. If they get the 6th pick, they've had some good success with that pick.
I think that's pretty unlikely, but I think they'll end up around 7. I think 6 is a little much. The team
Jets last 7th overall pick, Glenn. Who was it? I have no idea. I'm just asking you. I don't know.
I'm trying to,
I have no idea.
D-Rob, I think, was 13. I don't know. Top of my head, no idea.
But yeah, because I'm going to Google 7th overall pick. It's going to bring me to the 7th overall, like the 7th rounders probably. I don't know if they've ever had the 7th pick, but regardless, we'll see what they do. Trade up, regardless. And we were talking about Petty before. I just completely forgot. But yeah, we'll see if he's on the team. But I think he's going to compete with Hackenberg for the 3rd string. I think the Jets bringing 2 quarterbacks this year, or maybe one of those is bringing Josh McCown back. Bring Josh McCown back if you get a young guy in the draft 1st, 2nd round. Maybe you draft a quarterback in the 3rd or 4th if you bring in a guy like a Teddy Bridgewater or Jacoby Brissett. I'm just naming random guys. Tyrod Taylor, maybe even Kirk Cousins, bringing a young guy. But I think that Hackenberg and Petty battled out for the third string, keep a roster spot type of thing. I don't think any of them are really going to go into the year, even as the backup next year. If Petty's your backup next year, that's not smart. Could you expect the Jets maybe next year after the $80 million spent and getting a quarterback in the draft? You're looking at the Jets who could be, even this year, they could have had an extra 2-3 wins. Next year with like I said, that money spent, depending on the schedule and stuff and who's injured, who's not, who we're playing, they could be 8-8 next year. You never know. 8-8, 9-7. They might even be 10-6. You have no idea. Especially if they hit on these draft picks. If the draft pick, let's say they draft Baker Mayfield at 9 and he turns into he has a Deshaun Watson type of rookie year with minus the injury, Jets could easily be 9-7. But Glenn, you have a results on that yet, or you can't find it? Oh, you're muted, Glenn.
The Jets have never owned the 7th overall pick in the draft.
See,
they've never taken a player number 7.
Okay, so we have no history to fall back. Obviously, it doesn't really matter. Glenn, okay, so moving on through these studs, or we already did the studs and the duds. Positives from the offense. We'll do positives. Other than what we've talked about with Hanson and with the running backs and et cetera, I don't really think there's anything else to talk about. Is there anything other positives from the offense that you want to hit on?
I was going to mention the backs, but you talk about them.
Yeah, okay. Positives from the defense. I brought up Marcus May, Glenn. Let me just pull this up. I only have a couple more plays to share, unless we talk about more. But yeah, 7 solo tackles, 5 tackles. No, that doesn't make sense. 7 total tackles, 5 solo. Sorry, wasn't on the studs list, like I said, because that one tight end running the corner route almost got beat there. Reacted to the pump fake from Drew Brees, and he also almost got beat cover 4, cover 3. Actually, I'm pretty sure it was cover 4, where he just late to react to Michael Thomas running a post, and he gets beat over his head. And Michael Thomas just should have made that catch, honestly. He was just kind of unaware and stuck his foot out of bounds. He had plenty of room to toe tap. But regardless, let me drag this down here, but this was a cool play. You just see the Jets safeties rotating in with the strength of where the offense is, and you see, okay, when they start off, you see this receiver motion. Adams comes down, May goes up. He motions back. You see Adams go back up, and you see Marcus May come down again. So it's awesome to see how interchangeable they are, and this is just an example of it where you didn't see Marcus May stay high or Adams stay high. They can both play both positions. The run gets blown up a little bit where Ingram has to cut back, and Marcus May shoots from downhill and makes the tackle. He shoots through the A-B gap. Makes a one-on-one tackle against Mark Ingram. So really nice play there, Glenn. I thought that was a really interesting play. It really just shows how interchangeable they are. If you watch the safeties rotate here, it's pretty nice look. So
yeah, they did. They played well. There were some good things that came out of this game, as in most games. And I thought that, and I feel like once or twice a game, every week, you see a play like that from Marcus May. Does a really nice job as a downhill runner or downhill tackler. And he's not afraid to, as we were talking about the aforementioned Calvin Pryor, he's not afraid to take on a running back coming through the hole and making a hit like that. And that's Mark Ingram. That's not a little.
It's not even Kamara. It's Mark Ingram. He's a power runner.
Yeah, it's not a little scat back, third down back type guy. That's a big, powerful back, and he just upends him and really pretty with a good amount of force. He flips over in a heartbeat there, and that's just a big time play right there.
Yeah, so like I said, just because those couple plays, I didn't put them in the studs. Could have been big plays, but yeah, regardless, and I think it's more been in recent weeks where we see him playing a lot around the line of scrimmage more, and he's been really good this year, Glenn. And obviously,
he's been fantastic. He's absolutely exceeded my expectations. My concerns against him had to do with his ability to cover in the deep passing game. And really, other than the big bomb that he gave up to Travis Kelce, can't really think of many plays where he got beat over the top. So he's been a much better player than I thought. And, the Jets finally have seemed to have snapped this second-round curse, and hopefully they manage to do it again this year.
Yeah, now, and we've pointed out many times in the show, especially since that video, like this game, he could have got beat for 2 touchdowns, the Bills game. So I think he's played a little bit worse in coverage than people think. And I know you agree with that, Glenn, because we just saw it on the corner, right? Like, oh, damn, that tight end was really open on that corner, and he was, and it's Marcus May's fault. So there's a couple times where he's been beat, but the ball wasn't thrown. It happened again. I forget what game it was, but it was cover 3, and he was in the middle and just let a guy just wide open on the post. Again, didn't see it. So he's been really good. Now, is he a Pro Bowl type player yet? No, he's not. He still has mistakes in coverage, but we're seeing him play relatively well in coverage, or pretty damn well in coverage, and he's been really solid in the run game. Better than I even thought to start the year, where in the preseason he was a little bit hesitant, a little bit flat-footed, would dive too much. In the preseason here, this is what would have happened. If you're not watching on video, you should be, because you can't see what I'm going to be breaking down. Here, I feel like I don't know, what gap is this? I said the B gap. The B gap preseason, Marcus May, he squats in this hole, and he waits for Ingram to make the move first. Ingram runs right by him, or he gets an extra 2-3 yards because he trucks over Marcus May. Now, at this point in the season, you see Marcus May being the aggressor and shooting at Ingram's legs. This is not preseason Marcus May. This is a really nice freaking play from him. So he's been impressive. They've both been really impressive, Glenn. Regardless of the bad plays we bring up, in this play, he could have done that, he could have done this. They're rookies. We know that they're going to have mistakes. You're muted again, Glenn. I don't know.
No, of course, you're right. That, young guys, you expect they're going to have bumps in the road at some point. And,
No doubt.
it's, you see it from veterans all the time. So, you can't there are some Jets fans, not many, but you do get some that they dislike the front office so much that they sit around and wait for a young player to make a mistake and say, well, there's the proof that our GM can't draft because he gave up a touchdown to Gronk, as if, Jamal Adams is the only guy ever to get beat by Gronk. So for those of us that are kind of –
and one of them he tripped.
Yeah. And so for those of us that are kind of patiently sitting back and waiting and watching these guys develop, it's pretty exciting. For those kind of wringing their hands, waiting for a mistake to jump up and down and say, told you so. There's going to be people like that in every facet of life. But as a Jets fan, I'm just excited to see some of these young guys playing at a high level.
Yeah, there's a guy on Twitter this week. Really, people get to me sometimes. I know they shouldn't, but I'm not going to say his name. I don't like to call people out, but if he listens to the show, then you did piss me off. But quoted one of my tweets and put like 1, and it was like me putting up a good play of Muhammad Wilkerson, and then like quoted me again, it was like 2, and it was me saying how bad he was, and I can't wait to get him off this team. I'm like, so you think I can't put up one good play or a couple of good plays of Wilkerson? He's going to make 10, 15, 20, 25. Even the worst player in the NFL is going to make 20, 25 really good plays a year if they play enough. So I put up those type of plays that Wilkerson made, and he's like, oh, you're saying he's having a good play here, but why are you saying you want him to cut him? Because it's all about consistency. They're in the NFL. The worst player is going to make plays. So it's like, you son of a bitch. But, yeah, so moving on, though, Glenn, negatives from offense and defense. Offense, really, there wasn't much. We talked about Petty. We talked about the offensive line. Another drop from Anderson. Anderson slowed down after a really hot couple of weeks. He does have the drop issues when he's working back to the ball, when the ball's coming straight at him, where he actually should catch it in front of his face. Definitely has drop issues there, at least in my opinion. Over the shoulder, fantastic. Coming at him, but other than that, nothing really for me.
Yeah, not a lot. Just encouraging to see Chad Hansen get some run and make some plays. And hopefully, now that Jeremy Curley's been let go, that'll open the door for him a little bit more. And it's just unfortunate that these guys are really only going to get a 3 or 4 week audition. I think a lot of us thought that this season was going to kind of come to a much more abrupt ending. Figured by week 10 or 11, these guys would get 5-6 starts, and that just didn't happen, unfortunately. From a developmental standpoint. So, but still, good to see him coming in, making some plays. Show up the catch earlier, great job by him, and hopefully we see our Darius Stewart a little bit. But I'm starting to wonder about that.
Yeah, and I forgot, but Glenn, just other positives from the defense. I didn't ask you. And 2, we talked about McClendon, 3 solo tackles, good game. I saw that play. I showed that play before where he holds the center from getting to Demario Davis. So Demarius Davis can make a play. That's just freaking smart veteran play. Xavier Cooper, guy who came in, I'm not sure how much snaps he played. But he made 4 tackles, 1 solo tackle. He got in on a couple of pileups, and he made some plays. For a guy, getting his, I don't know if he started. Like I said, I don't know how many snaps he got, but I thought he stood out a little bit. Not too much. He didn't dominate anybody, but for relative to expectations, good game. Leonard Williams, 5 tackles, 3 solo, 1 pass deflection, 1 interception. I'll bring up the interception now. I thought he had a good game where, like I said, I think he's getting kind of crapped on a little bit too much this year. I think that relative to my expectations, I like to use that term a lot, relative to expectations, because, it is what it is. I thought he's going to be a Pro Bowl, all-pro type of player this year. Now, does not having a great secondary, not having outside backers to rush his passer, not help your cause to be a Pro Bowler? Yeah, because, they hold the ball longer or whatever. They're not double teaming you. Then you're not going to be able to make as many plays. I heard double, triple teams. Nobody in the NFL gets triple teamed. Really, nobody. No play they go into this play. Yeah, we're going to hit him with 3 guys. That never really happens. Double teamed, yeah.
I did see a triple team earlier this year that was very impressive. Khalil Mack was triple teamed and beat it. But I get it. It's a 1 in a million thing. It doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, and usually if you see a triple team, does he take on 3 blockers? Yeah, but do 3 blockers come off the snap and run right at him? Probably not. Is he coming into their zone and they're blocking him? Sure. Triple team are actually all running at him or all assigned to him? I don't know. That's just my opinion. I've never seen that. But like I said, maybe 1 in a million. This play, really nice. You see Xavier Cooper, who is the 3 tech. He uses like a semi-swipe move. Works through the defensive line, penetrates, hits Breeze. Leonard Williams uses the double swipe. He is also a 3 tech, uses the double swipe on the left guard, gets past him, but when he gets past him, he's a little bit off balance. The center comes in and fills and blocks Leonard Williams. Leonard Williams knows he can't get back to Breeze to make a sack, so he tries to get to the passing lane, which he does. Xavier Cooper hits the quarterback, and I just always look down and just see Glenn either yawning because it's late or coughing. It's just always funny. But he keeps his eyes in the backfield. Really nice.
I've had a cough for 7 years. It might be time to go to the doctor.
I know, right? I don't think there's been – Glenn, has there been one show that we've ever had in the year plus we've been doing this where you haven't at least coughed once?
No. I have a chronic cough. Like I said, a few friends and my wife, they're always giving me a hard time. Go to the doctor. Go to the doctor. But,
You ever smoke cigarettes?
No.
You're a pothead. You're a pothead then.
No, I did see an article recently about they're starting to find microscopic fragments of metal in the lungs of people that were in Iraq. So I'm starting to wonder about that.
No, I guess that's always a possibility. I would go to the doctors though, unless maybe you vape. Are you a vape, bro? Check out my coils, bro. This is awesome. Guy. Yo, vape.
Yeah, I vape. I got my man bun. What are you kidding me?
Yeah, people make sure they roll down the windows at a red light and blow out the biggest possible cloud of smoke so everybody can see it. It's wow, bro, that cloud was awesome, bro. Whoa!
Pay attention to me. I'm on my way to get another tattoo.
How do you do that? I hope we're not alienating people who vape. Maybe you could just a casual vapor. Maybe you're trying to come off cigarettes. If you're coming off cigarettes and you're vaping, that great for you. I think it's better than cigarettes, even though there's been some studies that's not that great, but. Those people blow. I can blow O's, bro. Look at my O's, my coils, bro. What cartridge do you have? What size is it? How fast does your thing charge? It's and I hear people at work do that all the time. I can make fun of them.
I don't know why it weirds me out when I see grown-ups doing it. I could see teenagers, okay, I get it. It's a new thing. It's cool.
If you're coming off cigarettes,
it gets attention. It gets people to look at you, and people like attention. I get that. But when I see the 46-year-old mom, I bring my kid to daycare, some days when I'm not working, and there's a mom there. She's probably 44, 45 years old. She's always standing outside the gate vaping, blowing these huge smoke clouds outside the daycare center. I'm just I'm pretty sure that thing was invented for 15-year-olds. But
like I said, I think it's good for people who are if you're coming off cigarettes, that's fine. You're replacing that kind of I guess people like to smoke, to blow out the smoke, so it kind of replaces that, and you can control the levels of nicotine, so you can slowly wean yourself off of wanting that much nicotine. So I understand that, but if you're just vaping to blow clouds because it looks cool, come on. Just the same thing with people who pack dips. you're going to replace that with like the coffee pouches or something like that. If you're smoking or packing dips, stop. It's terrible. If you get cancer and you have kids or you have family who love you and you get cancer because you want to spit into a jug or blow smoke out of your mouth, like, come on, you're just kind of stupid.
Yeah.
But okay, getting off of that, Leonard Williams, like Xavier Cooper hits him. Leonard Williams, really nice hands. One to readjust this ball that's coming out, get his hands up and intercept it. And, is awesome play from Leonard Williams right there. So I think overall, good game from him. Like I said, Xavier Cooper, good game. Glenn, any other positives from the defense you want to mention before we get into the negatives of the defense?
Nothing we haven't discussed already, and you have to worry about Leo being in concussion protocol. It's like just sit him. Just don't mess with it. Don't mess with him. No reason to send him out there at this point.
Yeah.
And let Xavier Cooper. You mentioned Xavier Cooper. He actually played 39 snaps last week, which is a season high for him. So run him out there and.
How many defensive snaps do they have? I'm set like 65, 70?
This is saying PFR is saying that 39 snaps was 57% of the snaps. So
I am not doing that math in my head, but yeah. So somewhere the Jets had probably like 72 snaps on defense, 73.
Yeah, probably high 60s, low 70s.
Okay. Why can't we figure out 57% of this? Okay, but Glenn, moving on.
Because I haven't done high school math in 26 years.
Yeah, it's funny because and obviously it's not this simple, but I can do like algebraic modeling where it's like this and this and this sentence of words means this number, like crazy, like divide this, flip that, and do that, like crazy math, and then like, hey, do this on long division. I'm like, oh shit, how do you do long division? Like, you just forget stuff. But I can do like freaking pre-calculus, but I can't do long division.
Forget stuff. All it does is prove that you were right when you told your parents you didn't need that shit for real life.
Yeah, it's true. But unless you're going to the profession. But okay, regardless. Move on. We talked about hashtag vape life and math now for a little bit too long. Negatives from the defense. Glenn, anything you want to specifically point out? We talked about Lee.
Yeah, I can't. I can't. The slow start, that sucked. But again, Kamara's a hell of a player. He beat them up pretty bad. I mean, they obviously took a little while to adjust to the Saints throwing to their running backs. I think their backs had it seemed like they had over 100 yards in the first couple of drives, receiving. But they shut them down, man. They forced 3 turnovers. They had 3 or 4 consecutive 3-and-outs. So the offense really had every opportunity to get back into and to win this game. But the defense couldn't hold by the end. The big run by Ingram was the nail in the coffin. But at the same time, the defense, I'm sure, was worn down a little bit by then.
Yeah, I think Claiborne was okay this game, but here he's actually beat by Kamara by a little bit, and Breeze underthrows it.
That was, and you know what? I meant to bring that up. That's a perfect example why I said I feel a little bit bad picking on Darron Lee for not being able to cover Kamara, because if your number one corner can't cover a guy, I certainly don't expect your linebacker to be able to cover a guy, and. And, that's why I said Lee was beat bad, but I do feel bad picking on him for that because let's face it, man, Kamara he's just a player, man. He's a wide receiver. I mean, he's a running back, but clearly he's got wide receiver type skills and some of the things he's able to do.
Yeah, this is nice. He just hesitation gets Claiborne to react inside, and he misses his jam because Kamara deflects it, and he has him. If Breeze throws this outside and leads him, he's beating him here for a long gain. He's not in great position if Breeze puts us in the right spot, but he doesn't. Underthrows it, and I don't even think Claiborne actually got his hands on this. It looks like he almost did, but he doesn't when you look at it closer. Kamara actually just drops this ball.
He does, yeah. I don't think he had his hands on it. I think they said that during the broadcast, and when they showed the replay. Sometimes the hands go up in front of your face, and you sort of anticipate contact. You anticipate the trajectory of the ball changing, and it doesn't. So it gets there that millisecond sooner than you're expecting, and you don't hold on. I think that may be what happened there. Yeah,
and then this, I think Burris, he said he had that he played whatever the amount of snaps he said. He played a season high. So he didn't get
49, I think.
So he didn't get beat a ton. We didn't see him get beat in the run game, but this was a bad play from him. The Saints are running a smash divide concept to the field side, where if you play it, or if I play it, This is the divide. They divide. This is this right here is the smash, high-low. And they're playing in cover 3, and Burris right here is doing like that, the like half back pedal type thing that teams like to do. Teams either like full back pedal or do like the side shuffle type of thing. So he's doing the side shuffle type of thing, and he just loses this receiver. I don't know who that is, Glenn. Maybe it's Willie Snead. Is that Willie Snead or a tight end? It might be a tight end. I forget who it is. I don't think it was Willie Snead, actually. I think it was a tight end. But he loses a tight end behind him where he's like, I guess he's looking at the quarterback, but you have to be aware who's coming into your zone. This is a cover 3. You have to be aware for deep because this corner right here is playing curl to flat, so he's not going to be dropping that far back. And he lets him get behind him, and it's a big gain. Easy catch. That's just a bad play from Burris. So he's kind of he was lost on this play at least.
Yeah, it's like I said, I'm sure he wasn't perfect, and he actually played 40 snaps, which was his second highest total of the season, but his most since week 9. So we'll see if he ends up getting worked back into the rotation and getting some regular reps. The Jets did say prior to the season they regretted not getting him more run last year. Started him out early this year. He struggled, and now he may be back into a role where they get to evaluate him, on a more in-depth scale.
Yeah, and I agree. You should play the young guys more. Like I said here, just you have to be aware who's coming into your zones and what you're responsible for, and loses a guy behind him. Easy freaking catch. That's a big gain and just simple play. It's so okay. Move off of that, Glenn. Let's get into. Let me just drag all the stuff on my screen. There's so many things to drag around to play all these videos and stuff. But any other negatives from special teams or positives from special teams? Didn't really notice anything too big. Last couple games, they definitely struggled in terms of the punt team on containing punt returners, getting like Denver last week. I don't think like one return was less than 11 or 10 yards, with a couple of bigger ones mixed in there. The last couple of weeks, they've really been struggling. Or actually, no, I will say negative from the special teams. JoJo Natson, why is he taking the ball 7 yards deep out of the end zone and then taking it to the 15-yard line every time? What the hell is he doing?
I say it all the time, man. I really think when your quarterback is playing atrocious football, you just look at it and say, this is one of the only chances we're going to have a speedy player with the ball in his hands and some room to move, and just hope he breaks one because your offense isn't moving the ball. So I don't have much of a problem with it because JoJo Natson's a guy, he's not an established guy, but he runs in the sub-4.4s, and if he makes one guy miss, he might take it to the house. And again, you're talking about an offense that just couldn't put points on the board.
Yeah, I wonder why the Jets didn't bring back Lucky Whitehead. Maybe they're bringing off the IR so he can practice with the team. But they're not confident he can play in a full game yet and take full contact. But I would much rather have him there than Natson, because Natson, there's been like a couple times where he's taking it past like the 20, 25-yard line. But most of the time it's okay. He's 7 yards deep, takes it out to the 15-yard line. Yay. 20-yard line. Yay. Like he doesn't even get back to the 25. So he's been relatively bad. Punt team has, like I said, has been bad out this game. No blunders I can really think of off the top of my head, Glenn. Am I missing anything?
No, nothing I can think of at the moment.
Okay. Negative for the coaching. I have to blame them at least a little bit. Now, I don't know if it's like the offensive line coach who's not getting his guys out in time, or sending too many guys out there. They're not necessarily sure exactly what their assignments are and who's supposed to get the guys out there. The offensive coordinator, Bulls, but they had the illegal substitution on offense. They had the 12 men on the field in the huddle on offense. They had another penalty on offense that I forget what it was, but I think they had definitely three, maybe four pre-snap penalties that wasn't like on the offense. It was like on like substitutions and things like that. So whoever's job that was to have that, or whoever's job that was to get that right was just that was bad. So I had to blame them for that. Like I said, offense.
Yeah, getting a 12-man on the field penalty on first down too. Like it's the first play of the series.
Or an illegal substitution, like.
Yeah, ugly stuff.
And you're talking about an offense who's not a prolific offense. They've been better than I've expected this year. I think they're like 20th before this game. I'm not sure if they are now, but regardless, even if they are impressive, they're still not a great offense. And you're putting them in first and 15, second and 20, whatever it is.
I think 3 different times Petty started out at first and 15.
Yeah, exactly. Anything else from coaching? Well, we'll talk about some other topic with coaching in a little bit, but other topics, Glenn. Jeremy Curley cut. Surprised you. He played 8 games for the Jets this year, 22 receptions, 217 yards, 1 touchdown. Really good game versus the Patriots. You know, he's a Jag. He's the definition of a Jag. Even though he was really reliable on third down.
I'd say he's better than a Jag. Anybody who can put up 800 yards with Mark Sanchez as your quarterback, and let's face it, that year he did that. He was pretty much the number one guy. He had no help, no support, over 800 yards. I think there's a lot of offenses in the league. I think if you throw him in there, he could be like an 80, 85 catch a year guy. Will he ever end up in the right spot where that happens? Probably not. I'm trying to think of how many he had last year. I think he had 67 catches.
He led the Niners. I know that.
Yeah, so you're talking about, with Blaine Gabbert at quarterback, he almost had 70 catches. So he has played. He consistently plays with the worst quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, I think like the part of him getting those receptions too is kind of like the same thing. Like you're on a really bad roster, so you're getting all those targets as well. Right,
so but you still got to get open. You still got to make that catch.
Oh no, trust me. With catching the ball, I don't think there's anybody who's really been better. Like obviously, the ball's in his hand in terms of drops. In the last. People are gonna probably kill me for saying this, but in the last 10 years, minus Santonio Holmes when he was first year, he was really reliable catching the ball. Have the Jets really had anybody just in terms of their actual hands who's been better than Jeremy Curley in the last 10 years?
Yeah, probably not.
Right? Maybe Lavernius Coles, Jericho Cotchery, I'm not sure. Maybe I don't even know. Cotchery. And people are saying, oh my God, Cotchery's so much better. I'm talking about just in terms of the actual catch. When the ball is there, not dropping the ball. Maybe you can argue Cotchery. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Cotchery had really good hands, but so Cotchery and Holmes and Curley are probably the top 3, whatever order you want to put them in. So Curley's he's been pretty good. He gets open. Guy, and maybe just another guy statement is a little bit off. So maybe a little bit better, but regardless, they cut him. They're playing the young guys. Really not a point of playing him now. The Jets are out of playoff position. It is what it is. If the Jets are going to trying to rush for a playoff or they're in a playoff push right now, he'd be on the team. He would be their slot type of guy. It wouldn't be Hansen. He's still more reliable. If I had to take him on a hitch or a snag versus Hansen, I'm taking Curley. But good riddance. He's a really good guy. I hope he goes to the team. He gets the targets he deserves. Good Jet. Yeah, I think his career is done here though, Glenn.
Go to the Rams. The Rams have a slot guy.
Well, where does what's his name play?
Austin.
No, I know Austin's their gimmick type of guy.
They're.
Who is that? Wow, I'm forgetting his name right now. That wide receiver they got this year in the 3rd or 4th round.
Oh, Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp.
I thought he was an outside guy. Either way, I hope he catches on somewhere with a team that has a chance to win.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I am wrong. Maybe I'm just prototypical, smaller white guy. I'm just automatically assuming he goes into the slot.
I don't think Kupp's a smaller guy though. I'm not sure.
6'1". I would say 6'1". Maybe I am wrong. Yeah. I'm just all over the freaking place right now, Glenn. I'm just an idiot.
I agree. It's good analysis. Good. That's your best breakdown of the night, show.
Glenn, he's 6'2", 205. Well, listen, like I said, if this was Rams Nation Radio and I didn't know Cooper Kupp's size or where he played, then yeah, call me an ass. But I don't know how many. I probably watched 2 or 3 Rams games. I'm not gonna maybe only 2 Rams games this year. I'm not gonna be like, oh, this is where this guy's playing. I'm not evaluating the game.
I'm terrible. I used to know a good amount about just about every team, but now with the amount of time I spend trying to research and write, I don't. I just know the Jets. I know the division rivals, and I read up on the team that's coming in that week, and the superstars, but. I'm this football brain's about 99% Jets.
Yeah. So let's move on. The Jets cut Edmund Robinson from the IR, outside linebacker. Not a big move. Glenn, is there any other minor news I'm missing from the roster perspective, practice squad, cutting guys, adding guys that I didn't catch?
Off the top of my head, I know they nothing since the last show. I think everything that has gone on we've talked about. I know they cut the tight end that they picked up from the Texans, but that was to make room for the former Bears running back, whose name is escaping me at the moment, who's on the practice squad now.
Langford.
Yeah, that's it. And I was a little disappointed that we didn't see excuse me, there's that damn cough again.
Your goal for this next weekend is to go to the doctors. Next time I come here, I'm asking you, and you have to go to the doctors. Just ask them. I cough all the freaking time. I annoy the shit out of Joe and all the listeners. What can I do here?
I'll don't you know who I am?
Yeah.
We have listeners on JetNation Radio. I can't be coughing. Akeem Judd. I was hoping to see a little bit of him this last week. That didn't happen.
Was he from the Bears side? Because I know they signed Jeremy Langford, who was
Langford's a practice squad guy. Akeem Judd is the guy they elevated from the practice squad.
Gotcha.
Rookie out of Ole Miss, kind of a power back. He's got better feet than you would expect from a power guy, but he's without a power back on the roster. It'd be nice if they had one.
I really wish Kyrie Robinson worked out, but too many back-to-back broken legs on back-to-back plays. It's never going to happen.
Back-to-back.
So, Glenn, let's get into some two other topics before we get to the picks, unless you have another one that you want to bring up before we get out of here. One thing we heard, the Sheldon might be coming back. He's interested in coming back to the Jets. The feeling is mutual between both parties. Now, I don't know if this is them leaking stuff out to Manish Mehta and the joke of the New York Daily News to maybe up his contract from the Seahawks or from free agency. Okay, well, the Jets are interested. Let's up the price, whatever it may be. Do you think it's legitimate? Would you think about it? This year with the Seahawks, 37 tackles, 1 sack, 1 interception. Would you have any other interest? The only other I haven't seen it reported by anybody other than the New York Daily News, so we know how legitimate their reporting is.
Yeah, so. Well, the thing is with Sheldon, I think that, and I said this last year at some point, when we were talking about whether or not he should be re-signed. This is before he was traded. And we talked about the off-field stuff. And I kind of raised the point that if you made it to this offseason and you were talking about re-signing him, that would mean that in all reality, he's now a few years removed from any major off-field issues. So he may still kind of be a jackass and maybe opens his mouth a little bit much. But in terms of stuff that's legitimately detrimental, suspension worthy, it's been a few years. So at some point you have to say maybe he's grown up. Not definitely, but maybe he's grown up. There's also the fact that he's not been as productive in Seattle as a lot of us thought he would be. I actually read something on him the other day. I was reading a list of top pending free agents. And it said, ignore the sack numbers. He's been an absolute force in Seattle, dominant, redirecting running backs consistently, getting the opposing backfield. So he's still making those plays that don't show up on the stat sheet. But he's not doing enough, I don't think. It may not stop him and his agent, but I don't think he's doing enough to enter free agency and say, I want to be paid like a top 5 guy. So the way I look at it, the price tag will probably be lower than we anticipated when he was traded, and the troubled past will be 1 year further away, further in his past than it was earlier. So now it's if you can get him at the right price and he's starting to shake that off-field label, I wouldn't be against it. And the other big factor, of course, is that Mo will probably be gone. So that money that Mo was getting, you just give that money to Sheldon. So where there was
all $20 million of that cap hit, just give it to Sheldon?
No, not all of it.
I'm kidding.
But honestly, he'll probably get 15.
I wouldn't even give that to him. The highest I'm going for Sheldon after this year, that year that he's having is $10 million a year.
Well, I'm not talking 15 guaranteed. But
total?
Yeah, with incentives and all that stuff, playing time and all that.
Yeah, no.
Bottom line, if it's not gonna be an obscene amount of money, Mo's gonna be gone. That's gonna open up a spot on the line. That logjam that was there before will no longer be there. Again, cleaned up his act a little bit off the field, and shouldn't be asking for the money that we thought he would be. I wouldn't be against it if he came back and played well. It looks that much better for the Jets. They get the guy back that they gave up to get Kurtz and a second-round pick. Now, whether or not the story is legitimate, we don't know.
That was their plan all along, Glenn.
Hey, you never know. No, but, when they say the feeling is mutual, I mean, come on. Sheldon Richardson wants to play for the highest bidder. He doesn't care what city it's in. The only part that matters is, are the Jets interested, because they have the cap room to do it. So if the Jets are interested in him, of course he'll listen, and if they're going to beat anybody's offer, I'm sure he would come back.
Yeah.
If Mo was going to be on his way out, I have no issue with that at all.
Yeah, now if he came out in an interview oh, well, what do you think about we're going to play next year? Yeah, well, I would really like to go back to New York. Yeah, but if somebody asks him, would you go back to New York? He's not going to say, no, I hate that team, because if we're offering him $5 more million a year than anybody else is, he's going to play.
Yeah.
Now, and I think that the Seahawks play a 4-3, so I'm assuming he's not a DN in that team. He's a D tackle, so he's going to be asked to penetrate. Where, like I said, 3-4, your 2-gap. 4-3 penetrate. So it's actually weird that he doesn't have more stats than he did.
I know.
And we thought that he was in debt, 10 sacks this year and be a really good player. Now, at the same time,
I thought he was going to have a monster year. I thought he was going to be defensive player of the year candidate.
Yeah. And at the same time, and I know that I'm not sure if the Seahawks is, but I know that Bill Belichick does this a lot, where they run both a 3-4 and a 4-3. They run hybrids of both, where one side of the line will actually 2-gap. And the other side of the line will penetrate. So there's hybrid schemes where literally, depending on what player you are, you either penetrate or 2-gap, depending on where they're lined up, like I said. So maybe they're asking him to 2-gap, and the guys around him are penetrating. So you don't really know that, but there is definitely more times where he is
You would still
penetrating.
Even regardless of what they're asking him to do, just based on his physical talent, you would expect him to just toss people aside from time to time and get to the quarterback.
Yeah, so he's definitely having a down year regardless of what they say about his stats. Like Leonard Williams, he's having a down year. At least, like I said, what I thought he was going to be, what you thought he was going to be. I thought he was going to be an all-pro type of player this year. I'm really high on Leonard Williams. He's playing well. He's playing like a very good player. He's not at a all-pro, Pro Bowl type of level right now. Something's a little bit off. And like I said, that could just be that he doesn't have an outside linebacker or corners to rush, especially in a 3-4. You're going to get at least combo block a good amount of the time. So, okay, but move off of that. Now, not move off of it, but with Sheldon, now, I trust the Jets. I'm not going to say that I trust the Jets staff, but if the Jets staff thinks that it's okay for him to come back, that he wasn't a locker room problem, like you said, another year removed from all those problems he had, if they don't think he's an asshole in the locker room, bring him back at a lower contract. That's fine. Then you have him playing, one, at the right position, and two, on a low contract. Yeah, whatever. Now, if they have any inkling, okay, he's going to come back and did what he did, stuff that we don't know that happened in the locker room, he's gonna have problems, meetings, being an asshole, whatever it is, don't bring him back if you have any problem with him like that. But yeah, if the D line going into next year was Sheldon, Leo, and McClendon, I'm more confident that it's better than this year with Muhammad Wilkerson. Replace Mo with Sheldon, and Sheldon's not playing outside linebacker, even though we've talked about it before. We debunked it a little bit, where he played outside linebacker far less than people actually think he did. But still, I'll be okay with it. Like I said, if he's not an asshole in the locker room, depending on how he was, summer, etc. Last topic, Glenn, unless you have another one. Wilkerson, what do you think? Should he be playing the last 2 games? What's that whole situation you came into? Maybe we calmed you down a little bit in the last hour and 45 minutes, but you were not happy before. So should Wilkerson play these last 2 games? I think
he shouldn't even be at the facility.
Why, Glenn? Why? Why not?
Why should he be there? They should send him home. One of the first things I thought of the other day, again, the two possibilities, looking at both ends of the spectrum, when they said the other day that the Jets were going to work through some things and talk to him. I thought either they want him back and they're going to sit him down and say, you got to take a huge pay cut, or they don't want him back and they're going to sit down and say, dude, just go home. The last 2 games of the year you're suspended. Several years ago, John Gruden did it in Tampa with Keyshawn Johnson, and I think they had 7-8 games left in the season, something crazy like that. And they just deactivated him for the rest of the year. They said, look, you're acting like you're a distraction right now. You
say acting like a dick, Glenn. You can say it.
No, I said acting like a distraction.
Yeah. The distraction.
Yeah. And they didn't need that in their locker room. They sent them home. There's no reason not to do the same thing with this guy. He practiced today. I mean, Joe, how many times do we have to say this? Unless every report I've read is wrong, they owe this dude $18 million next year if he gets hurt. Why is he in practice?
Is it $18 million, Glenn?
17, 18?
Well, I know he gets 17, but I know he's a $20 million cap hit. So
maybe it's 20. It's more. It's too much. Whatever it is. It's let's see. I'm looking at it now. He's got a $20 million cap hit. I think maybe he would do his guaranteed salary, which is 16.7.
Regardless.
So either way, if he gets hurt, a guy who isn't showing up to practice, a guy who isn't showing up to meetings on a season that is over, a few weeks before you should be releasing him, and he's got a stipulation in his contract that gives him $17 million next year against your cap if he gets hurt, and you're sending him out there to practice. And I want everyone to catch heat for this. Yeah. But is this just Todd Bowles? We know Mike McCagnon's not his boss. I would imagine there's someone in that building that's like, dude, send that guy home. Somebody needs to – why is Chris Johnson not getting involved here? Does Chris Johnson not know that he's got a player on his roster that doesn't want to be there, that has no heart, that has no interest in being on this team, and that he will have to pay $17 million next year to do nothing if he gets hurt? Yeah. That's insane. You only hear about this stuff with the Jets. Who else does this crazy stuff?
And would you put it past Wilkerson to fake an injury for that money? Honestly,
I wouldn't put it past him for a second, but to prove that you're hurt so bad you need a year, it'd be tough to prove. I'm sure they'd have some independent doctors, but even still, why? To me, it just boils down to why. Why are you taking this risk? Whether he fakes an injury, whether he's legitimately injured, he shouldn't have the opportunity. Unless he hurts himself clearing out his locker, he should have no opportunity to get hurt. Yeah. And you get him a driver and bring him home, and you cut him in a couple of months. The fact that when I saw today that he was at full go at practice, and Todd Bowles says he has served his punishment. Are you serious?
Yeah.
The Jets fans have served their punishment, and it's going to get doubled next year if this guy hurts himself.
Yeah, Glenn.
Why is he there?
If I was trying to get $16.7 million and I was at practice and I knew I was going to get, a lot less money next year, I'd be trying to make the craziest cuts and run into piles and trying to snap my leg.
Oh my God.
But it's ridiculous. All it takes is one cut. All it takes is one pile up. All it takes is one offensive lineman falling on the wrong way in your knee or your ankle, and you break your freaking leg or your ankle, tear your ACL.
The non-contact, you can just fire out.
Yeah.
You see guys fire out of their stance and fall to the ground. Oh, that's it. I'm done for the year. I'll see you in 23 months when I can walk again.
I've seen offensive linemen, defensive linemen who they take on a block and they're planting off their leg and they tear their Achilles.
If this guy hurts himself, somebody's got to get fired.
Yeah.
If he gets hurt and they have to pay him $17 million next year, someone's got to get fired. We don't know what they're saying behind closed doors. Is this Mike McCagnon and Todd Bowles talking to Chris Johnson and giving their sides, and Chris Johnson is saying, I'm going to go with let's play the guy, which would make no sense whatsoever. But I don't know. Sometimes teams and people do things that make no sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Glenn, and I completely agree with you. We don't know if it's Bowles. We don't know if it's McCagnon. We assume it's Bowles.
I would imagine it's not McCagnon because he wants the cap space.
Yeah, he's the coach. But at the same time, is McCagnon stepping up and saying something? But at the same time, they're an NFL organization. You know what I'm saying? It's not like it's like a high school team. It's like they're a professional organization who's looking at this stuff constantly. How does nobody say, like you said, whether it be McCagnon or Chris Johnson or even Woody Johnson over there from England saying, listen,
Woody's not allowed.
What do you mean Woody's not allowed?
He's not. That's in the rules. While he's doing the ambassadorship, he's not allowed to be involved in team operations.
No, he doesn't even have a say. You can't call him.
Same with Rudy with the Steelers years ago. He was the ambassador to Ireland.
When did you figure that out? I didn't hear about that.
Oh yeah, that was announced. They asked Woody months ago, and he said no, or Chris or Woody, one of them. No, he will have no involvement. It's the NFL bylaws don't allow it.
Well,
that doesn't mean it's not happening. I mean,
yeah, okay. Regardless, it's
wink.
$1 billion organization, or up in there in the hundreds of thousands, or millions. I mean, it's hundreds of thousands. I would put money together, a whole bunch of people, and buy it. I don't have. I'd have to get a lot of people, but yeah. Regardless, whether it be Bowles or a collective Bowles and Chris Johnson and McCagnon, the fact that nobody has said, hey, this guy is a $16.7 million cap if we believe, or right around there if he gets injured next year. Let's not practice him. Let's not play him. Let's sit him on his ass on his couch at home, and he doesn't even drive to the facility. Just a chance that he gets in a car crash and then some reason the Jets are liable because he's driving there. Some crazy crap that can happen. These people who put rats in McDonald's foods and then sue people and win and all this crazy stuff that's going on nowadays. Just sit him at home. He's not involved with the team at all, and cut him. Or cut him now. If you can save that $11 million now, cut him if you want to save that that post June 1st cut, you keep him on the roster, you save that $16.7 or $7 million, whatever it is, to save that $6 million, cut him then. But there is no reason, like you said, for him to be practicing. Why? He's not going to be here next year. We don't need these 2 games. The Jets can't get to the playoffs. If he gets injured, Glenn, like you said, people need to be fired. It is what it is. It's a joke that they're even practicing him right now. Like you said, one cut, one false step.
When he walked into that meeting late last week, they should have been like, dude, just go home. Go home. Don't worry about coming back.
When they watched the film after the Patriots game and those games, when you giving up on all these plays, they should have said, not come back.
Well, that's what I said. I've been saying this to people. The amount of heat, the amount of garbage that I got for saying this, like in October, from and it's a select few because most people are fairly rational, but like people on like the forums on JetNation, oh yeah, we should bench our best player. Oh, what a stupid comment. Blah blah blah. And I'm like, our best player? Seriously? Like a couple years ago, yeah.
Glenn, if he was on if we do that top 25 rankings right now, would he even be in the top 20? I don't think he'd be in the top 25 right now.
No. I mean, are we talking about talent or production? Talent, yes. Production, no.
It's a mixture of both what we do, but
that's what I mean. That's what I meant. I think the
it'll be close. You can argue it, but
yeah,
for a guy who's.
But the thing is, he should be far and away the clear number one.
He's getting paid like a clear and away far number one.
Exactly. He makes like almost double what I think. Kelvin Beachum is the only guy on the roster that makes half of what he makes. Everybody else makes less than half.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Okay, so Glenn,
I'm going to check that. Let me see. Go ahead, say what you're going to say. I'm going to look at this.
You can pull it up on OTC and just
I'll look at this.
You can share, Glenn. You can share the screen to show everybody all the contracts on the team right now.
Nobody else on the roster makes half of what Mo makes this year.
Really?
Next year, yeah. Hang on, what am I doing here?
OT.
Right here.
Did you pull it up?
Yep. So here we got Mo. Excuse me.
Okay, cool.
Well, I'm talking in terms of cap number because that's taking everything into account, the prorated and the workouts. So Mo's at 18, Buster Skrine 8.5, Brian Winters 8, James Carpenter 6.8.
So there's not one player who's even making half of what he's making.
Not one guy makes
in 2018. It's 2018. Okay, that's 17. What about 18?
18, yeah, I think Beachum. No, Beachum makes less than half. So nobody makes. Look at this. Nobody on the roster over the next 2 years makes half of what Mo Wilkerson makes, and he might make the top 25 on the roster.
Who is Devin Smith down there? I don't know who Devin Smith is.
Devin Smith?
I'm kidding. He's up more, actually. He is
$1.8 million.
Yeah, he's gone.
Oh, did you say who? I thought you said where's Devin Smith?
No. Who is Devin Smith? Hopefully, never know. Okay, so let's move on, Glenn. Is there any other topics you want to bring up before we get into the picks of the week and stuff like that, or is that it for that?
That's it for me, man. I don't know why the hell Mo Wilkerson is practicing, even if he doesn't play. Even if maybe Bowles is posturing, maybe Bowles is just saying that. No. It doesn't matter. The fact that he is on the field doing anything is wrong.
Yeah, the fact that he even takes one rep at practice is a joke.
The Redskins were in a similar situation a couple years ago with RG3. They deactivated him the whole year. They were like, this guy is worthless. If he gets hurt, we owe him a bunch of money. We're sitting him for the year. We don't care. The Jets.
There's nothing in his contract that says they can't do that. So. Okay, so Glenn, moving on to the picks of the week. I had a shitty week. After I was like, yeah, dude, we only need a couple more wins to get, double the wins and losses. I've been terrible. But we do, in all fairness, like there's people who pick all the games of the week. If we can pick all the games of the week, I'm confident that we'd be double. But we pick the best games of the week, so it's not easy picks.
Yeah, if you pick the easy, just pick against the Browns every week and pad your numbers.
Exactly. Like if I was picking games let's say the Cardinals versus the Patriots or the Steelers versus the Browns, obviously we'd have better records. But we try to pick the best games. This week there was a couple of good games, not as good as they usually are. Last week. I went 2-3. You went 3-2. Not great from either of us. We need to be in that 4-1, 5-0 range to get where we want to get.
By the way, Joe, credit where it's due. I know you said OTC, but for those who don't know, overthecap.com, best site on the internet if you want to look at team player contracts, break down.
By far, I don't think it's close.
Yeah. Oh God, no. I've seen other sites that try, and it's just kind of embarrassing. I know there are other sites that rip off OTCs over the cap's information, but if you are a fan of any team, not just the Jets, any NFL team, overthecap.com will break down your team's roster player by player. They'll have salaries, incentives, workout bonuses, and let you know the cap ramifications if a player is cut, traded, before, after the league year, everything you need. So
Yeah.
overthecap.com.
Yeah, they are great. Jason's a good guy too. We've had him on the show before.
Yeah.
Maybe that was with Vinny. I think I was with Vinny and we're talking to him about what Mo's contract should be, I believe, which Nothing. Okay, so yeah, Glenn, you went 3-2 last week. I went 2-3. Your overall record is 44-26. So you need 8 wins in a row to be double, and I would need 11. So it's not a good situation.
All right.
We both picked the Saints, who beat the Jets 31-19, which was a closer game than we both expected. You predicted like 45-13 or something like that. So you were off. So was I. Not by too much, actually. I think I said 35-13. But regardless, okay. Next game, we both picked the Chargers, who lost to the Chiefs 30-13. The Chiefs took the AFC West lead. I picked the Packers. You picked the Panthers. The Panthers won 31-24. We both picked the Seahawks, who got blown out by the Rams. I watched the game. It was beyond bad for the Seahawks.
We both picked the Seahawks?
We both picked the Seahawks because of like reverse psychology that we wanted the Seahawks to lose, so we picked them to win.
Oh, yes, because I picked the Rams initially, and then for that reason, I switched it. I was like, no, we need that pick. I'm picking the Seahawks.
Yep, because we're Jets fans, and we root for people when they lose. So that's what happened. Reverse psychology. We got screwed. Even though actually the Seahawks lost, so that's good.
That's what I want. Yeah, I picked them because I wanted them to lose because I want that pick.
I'm willing to give up this record for a Jets better pick.
Absolutely.
And that pick moves up a lot now if they don't make the playoffs, which I don't think they're going to. They're not going to make the playoffs unless they get lucky. And then the next game, Glenn, we both picked the Patriots, who beat the Patriots 27-24, and we're not too far over. We're right on 2 hours right now. That was a crazy game. But honestly, that catch by Jesse James at the end, by the NFL rule book, it's not a catch. Now, should it be a catch because he caught the ball and made a football move with it where he tried to extend it to the goal line? Yes, I believe it should be a catch. But by the NFL rule book,
my thing was from the couple shots that I saw, by rule it should not have been a catch. But by replay, it's one of those things, you look at it and you know the ball hits the ground, but you don't see the ball hit the ground. So without seeing it, you shouldn't be able to overturn it. But they did because
but his hands are like this, and he hits the ground like both of his hands like this, and then this hand like slides up, and the ball moves a tiny bit. So like, but regardless, but like the Dez Bryant thing, that should have been a catch because listen, you're catching the ball.
It's ridiculous. It's beyond ridiculous.
It's like there's like that's like the couple dumb things with the NFL. When you catch the ball and you extend it, you have possession of the ball.
Yes.
So it's not like, okay, maybe ruled I don't know, a fumble or something crazy, whatever. But if you're catching and you're extending your arms, you have possession. You don't not have possession of the ball if you go like this and extend it. Just like the stupid defensive player rule is dumb. If you're coming over the middle on a slant, Glenn, I'm going to light you up as hard as I can so you drop the ball. Hey, Glenn, I'm going to tackle you now. Let me just take you down. Same thing, Smith-Schuster, not Natson, Juju Smith-Schuster, when he blocked Vontaze Burfict, what was he supposed to do there? Vontaze Burfict is not looking. Oh, you're muted, Glenn, again.
I was just saying that was absolutely ridiculous. That was a clean block as far as I'm concerned.
Listen, if he's 210 pounds, there's a 250-pound linebacker who's not looking at him. What is he supposed to do? Like the same thing. Hey, man, I'm about to block you. No, you're not looking. It's your fault. I'm going to block you and knock you on your ass. Now, maybe a flag for taunting after he stood over him. Yeah, I understand. But for suspended for a game when A.J. Green didn't get suspended after he choked out freaking Jalen Ramsey and threw him to the ground and threw punches, he wasn't suspended. But Juju Smith-Schuster is. Only because Ryan Shazier got hurt that game. If Ryan Shazier did not get hurt that game, drew all that media attention, I don't think Smith-Schuster gets suspended.
Could be.
That's my opinion. The Steelers lost bull crap way. That was stupid. Raiders last week too, which we didn't pick, but that freaking rule, Glenn, where you're extending the ball over the end zone, the pylon and it drops out of your hands. The fact that the other team gets the ball is dumb. Now let's say if it's let's just say 1st and 10-yard line, you run to the goal line, you fumble out of bounds. Okay, you know what? Give the team who has the ball the ball at the 20-yard line. Make it 2nd and 20. Back them up to the 20-yard line, and you lose it down. Like
I actually heard I saw a thing the other day. I don't know if it was true. It said Bill Belichick with the Patriots that if Patriots players do that in practice, then they're benched. He tells them, you're not allowed to do that. You do not take that risk of giving up possession of the ball from inside the 1-yard line. You're that close and you give the ball away by reaching for the pylon. Patriots players aren't allowed to do it.
Yeah. Well, that's smart, and that's why he's one of the, if not the best, one of the best coaches of all time. And so, just to recap, that's our 3 things that at least I hate. Those are my top 3 things in the NFL. Defenseless receiver, dumb. I understand all the helmet-to-helmet contact, but defenseless receiver is just stupid. Like that roughing, all that roughing crap. The NFL is soft. I hate that. I hate that rule where you get it back. The other team gets the ball back. You're extending it, fumble out of bounds in the end zone, and the catch. I understand what a catch is and stuff like that, but you catch the ball, you extend it. You have the ball. You don't not have the ball. How'd you extend it if you didn't have the ball? I don't know, Glenn. Doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. Okay, so this week, Glenn, Sunday. Well, I guess we'll give a score prediction, a little bit of a whatever. Jets Chargers, the 7-7 Chargers, or the Jets home. 5-9 Jets home against the 7-7 Chargers. The Chargers are 1 game out of the wild card, so they have a chance if they win the next 2 and a couple teams lose. So are the Jets going to ruin, their playoff chances? Are they going to win this game? They're a different team at home. What do you think?
I say 24-13 San Diego.
24-13 San Diego. Any reason for that?
The Jets are not very good at football, and San Diego is a little bit good at football.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just gonna. Yeah. So
and I don't think Leo plays. I think there's no Leonard Williams. The Jetsiest thing to happen would be that they start Mo Wilkerson and he gets like 11 sacks, and
but then he injures himself right at the end of the game.
Single-handedly takes over the game, blows out his ACL on the final play of the game. Jets are stuck with Mo next year. The win knocks them down a few pegs in draft order.
Yeah, like I said, the Chargers are fighting for the playoff spots. I think they come out with a little bit more energy, even though the Jets do come out with good energy at home. I don't know how they're going to block Joey Bosa and Ingram because they're both really good edge rushers from opposite sides. So it's not like you can, we'll just put Nate Sterling or Austin Seferian-Jenkins.
Are we going to see another Bryce Petty sandwich a la Ndamukong Suh and
Cam Wake?
Who was it? Was it Cameron Wake?
Yeah, it was Wake. But yeah, I don't know. If you have one good rusher, we'll put a tight end over there, chip him and stuff like that. But unless you're running like 12 personnel or 22 personnel, a lot of times you're having guys chip all the time or running back stay in to block. It's not necessarily going to be easy to block those guys.
I think we'll see a lot of jumbo packages, a lot of Dakota Dozier and Brent Qualley coming in as extra blockers.
Yeah, Dakota Dozier had like 20 reps this week as an extra tackle. The Jets, in the last like 3 or 4 weeks, have been playing a lot of like 12 personnel or 22 personnel, which, like I said, the first number is the running back. So if it's 12 personnel, it's 1 running back, 2 tight ends, 22, 2 and 2, 32, which – yeah, you can do 32 is 3 running backs and 2 tight ends for whatever situation, goal line. But yeah, two good edge rushers. Phillip Rivers is I think just in his career in general, is a very underrated quarterback. I think he's a very, very good quarterback. He hasn't had too many weapons, too great of a team. But Melvin Gordon's a pretty solid running back. Keenan Allen, I think, is an underrated receiver. He doesn't get as much recognition as he should because he's back-to-back years, he got injured for the year. Now he's healthy. He's a really, really good player. So I think they have a pretty good team. I'm surprised they lost as bad as they did last week to the Chiefs. But yeah, I think they're going to come in this game with their hair on fire and really try to fight for that playoff spot. Get a little bit lucky. So we're both taking the Chargers. I'll take the Chargers. I'm going to say 24-19. I think they win by a little bit, but I think the Jets have a good. Actually, I'll say 27-24. Just put up a little bit of points.
I think you maybe – I just checked. You may be confusing Dozier with Qualley. Dozier had 0 snaps.
No, I said Qualley.
You said Dozier.
Oh, okay. I'm listening back, Glenn. I'm gonna message you because I think I said Qualley.
Well, you know how I am. You talk about O-lineman, all I hear is Dozier.
Well, you said, they try to jumbo packages with Quale and Dozier, and I said Quale had. I'm going to message you because you're wrong.
You should, because this is very important.
Yes, I'm going to message you. I'm going to listen at like 1 o'clock in the morning and make sure I message you at like 4 o'clock in the morning your time.
Don't go to bed until you have an answer.
Yeah. Okay. So we're both picking the Chargers. Next game, Glenn, the 6-8 Dolphins at home versus the 8-6 Chiefs, who are they're the fifth or sixth. Well, they are. They're the fifth or sixth spot in the playoffs right now for the wild card. So Chiefs on the road. Did they win to liken their or?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Chiefs. I think Jay Cutler's a complete disaster. I don't think he's interested in playing football when they have a chance to win. But to be fair, didn't they beat the Pats a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, they beat them relatively bad, actually.
Yeah, but I'm going to go ahead and say KC.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Chiefs too, just because they're in that fight for the wild card, where the Dolphins I think would have to have like a whole bunch of teams lose and then win like both games. So they have a chance still, but it's really, really unrealistic. Next game, Glenn. This is the best game of the week in my opinion. You have the oh man, I might have done this backwards actually. Now that I'm looking at it, but let me just double check this game because I don't want to give it to you wrong. You have I believe it's the Sunday at 1 o'clock. The Saints, the 10-4 Saints on the road in Atlanta versus 9-5 Falcons. Let me just double check that, Joe. Just to make sure though. No, the Falcons are in New Orleans, so I am.
Yeah,
right.
I'm taking New Orleans either way. I'm not taking Atlanta anymore.
They're just too damn inconsistent. I don't know how they're 9-5 right now. Just every other game they have a bad game, but yeah, I'm taking the Saints at home too. I think the Saints are good. Just like watching them last week too, really closely. Obviously, watching the film for multiple hours. I don't think they have a chance to beat or to go far into the playoffs. Maybe because the NFC isn't that great right now. Like in the NFC right now, who's going to the Super Bowl? If you had to pick one team, Glenn, there's really nobody. You can't say the Seahawks. They have Chancellor and Sherman out. The Packers.
You know who will probably go to the Super Bowl because I'm an idiot and I didn't put money on them. But when the Rams won their first game of the year in that huge blowout, I thought, wow, I know it's only one game, but with that defense, if they have an even okay-ish offense, and I was like, I'm going to go put 20 bucks. Because at that point, they were like 75-1.
Yeah.
With that defense, man, they're going to wreck. That would be my pick, actually, still. I would say the Rams. With that defense, they are killing people. And Gurley is playing so well right now. If I had to pick someone to go from the NFC, I'd say the Rams. Yeah,
it's kind of cheating, but I'm going to say because like I said, the Seahawks, you don't have Chancellor, you don't have Sherman. I'm going to get in anyway. There's no other team that I really like that much. The Falcons are too inconsistent. The Eagles obviously would be my pick. They don't have Wentz anymore, so they're not in it. So I think it's the Saints if they can get hot and keep it together, or the Rams. The problem with the Rams is I always have problems picking young teams and teams who haven't really done it before in the last couple of years to do it because who has really had playoff experience in that staff and on that team really. So I would say the Saints or the Rams. I think make it. I think in the AFC side, I think the Patriots are going. It's them versus Steelers in the AFC Championship game. The Patriots have won six out of 8 times versus the Steelers in the playoffs, I believe. Yep. So I think we're going to see a Patriots and Rams or a Saints Super Bowl. And I think either way, the Patriots win, which back-to-back Super Bowls, they're 7th. Brady is that Brady's? That's Brady's 7th ring.
1000th? I don't know.
It's a 7th ring, I believe. No,
I think it'd be 6th.
6th? Yeah, it's a sixth ring. Okay, which is ridiculous. They'd have the most Super Bowls of all time. Because I believe overall they'd have 7 then, but I'm not 100% sure. Maybe I'm just stupid. But okay, so we're both picking the Saints. Like I said, to recap, because we're on a different topic. We both picked the Chargers. We both picked the Chiefs. We both picked the Saints. The next game, Glenn, we're going to pick all the same games this week. Next game Sunday at 1 o'clock. The 11-3 Patriots at home versus the 8-6 Bills. The Bills are in the wild card right now, so they need to win. But they're in Foxborough, and the Patriots are fighting for home playoff advantage throughout the playoffs. So, yeah,
I'm taking the Pats.
Well, I'm taking the Bills. I'm just kidding. I'm not that stupid. But yeah, no, like I said, I think the Bills are either the 5th or 6th seed in the wild card, but Obviously, their playoff chances go down if they lose this game. I'm not sure if they're out, depending on who wins, who loses. But Patriots at home, fighting for that home playoff spot. Like I said, definitely going to take them in Foxborough. Maybe if they're in Buffalo, maybe. Still pick the Pats. Next game, Sunday at 1. Every single one of our games is at Sunday at 1 because the night games suck this week. The 8 and 6. Okay, so the Bills are the 5th seed. The 8 and 6 Titans at home versus the Rams. The Titans have that they have the 6th spot in the playoffs, or the last wild card seed. Yeah, Rams 10 and 4. I'm taking the Rams.
Is Marcus Mariota still viewed as a franchise quarterback, by the way?
After this year, I would still take him, obviously. But that team has struggled a lot, and honestly, like I've only watched maybe 1 or 2 of their games, so I don't necessarily feel comfortable answering that question because I'm not watching the film. I don't know what's going on with them, why he's playing so poorly. I don't know if it's scheme. I don't know if it's his receivers dropping balls. I don't know if they're tipping balls up or interceptions. But yeah, he definitely hasn't been better regardless. So I don't know, Glenn. It's a hard question.
Yeah, I looked at his numbers the other day. He's got like 12 touchdown passes.
This is his 3rd year.
Yeah.
But people regress too. Like, and I always say, like, if you're showing me, like, let's say, just say any player, really, show me their 2nd year, and that's how I'll know if they're gonna be successful. Not their 1st year, their 2nd year, because people like RG3, they adjust to how they play. You get film on a guy, you adjust to them. So the 2nd, 3rd year are always harder than the 1st year.
But that's the thing. His 1st year, 19 touchdowns, 10 picks. Year 2, 26 touchdowns, 9 picks. This year, 12 touchdowns, 14 picks.
Yeah, and it's weird because I thought they had a better team than they did the last 2 years. But like realize, I think people can adjust to you. So that's the problem. Like your 1st year is obviously hard because you have to learn playbooks, you have to learn defenses, etc. But that 2nd and 3rd year are hard too because then teams get playbooks. Not playbooks, but they get film on you. So they know your weaknesses, they know how to exploit it. But yeah, I'm taking the Rams as well, Glenn. So let's just hope we both go 5-0 this week. But we still have the playoffs too to get that double wins and losses. Both picking the Chargers, both picking the Chiefs, both picking the Saints, both picking the Patriots. That is all for this week. Glenn, any final thoughts, words?
Send Mo home.
Send Mo home. Don't let him practice. Write us a podcast review, please, or at least leave a rating. We appreciate both. Obviously, review more. We will be back next Wednesday at 8. So we'll see you then. #VapeLife.